Hey everyone, sorry for the delay. We're going to get right into it, but this is part one of me debating Amru Foodle, aka Myron Gaines. And so everyone knows, part two is on my live section. If you just go to my YouTube channel, go to the live section, you can see part two. But everyone's asking, where's this part one thing that everyone keeps talking about? The chunk of the debate, the actual Israel-Palestine debate, started on somebody else's live. It wasn't mine, it wasn't his. And so we debated there for about 2 hours. That's what you guys are going to see here. And that's why it's not a video. Both our cameras are off. So I made it to where, when he's speaking, you guys have captions on his side. When I'm speaking, you have captions on my side. It might not be perfect, but you guys get the point. I'm not going to waste any more time. Thank you guys so much for those that, of course, as always, support me through my Buy Me a Coffee link. Let's get right into it. Let's go.
The UN does not look at what happened in Gaza as genocide. That is a lie. It is still considered a genocide. Number two, what?
Wrong. It's only been independent panels and appointed experts. The UN hasn't actually came out and even still.
Every single human rights organization, pretty much for the most part, every genocide expert,
they've all
concluded that it is a genocide, because what you guys don't understand is the definition of genocide is the destruction of a group of people in whole or in part. This fat moron was over here saying, what percentage is it? Dude, it doesn't matter what the percentage is.
Don't worry about me. Talk to Nick. Talk to Nick, bro.
I'm addressing a lot of things.
I don't care, Myron. So Nick, what questions do you have for Myron?
I don't have any questions. You can go. I'll listen.
See, here's the thing. Like I said before, you were the one throwing ad homs first. That's
shut the fuck up, you child. Okay, Myron, shut the fuck up with the fucking being upset.
Muting me.
Yes, because Myron, argue the topic, you fucking child.
Anyway, so let me get back to it. Number one, you said earlier, okay, because I'm going to address your fat ass comments first, then I'm going to go into the other. Number one, you said that it is not a genocide.
Okay, stop right there. Myron.
You can't be fucking serious.
Stop. Myron.
You're not supposed to say that.
We are on TikTok saying things. What you're trying to do is get banned. Myron, shut up. You cannot say certain words on TikTok. Please stop pretending you don't know the words that are not allowed on different forms of social media. You have been a social media content creator for a very long time. You know what you can and you know what you can't say. Myron, why are you incapable of shutting the fuck up?
Okay, anyway, Lord Ass, like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted a million times by the drunkard. Here's the reality, okay? You said earlier that it is not a genocide and that the UN retracted their comment. That's wrong. That's not true at all. That's a blatant lie, okay? Then you went into, well, what percentage of people were killed? That's irrelevant, because the reality when it comes to genocide is the definition of genocide is the destruction or murdering of people in whole or in part. So whether it's 2% or 10%, it doesn't matter. They still try to kill them. And every human rights organization, every genocide expert, to include the UN, which you just lied about earlier, calls it a genocide. I know you don't like facts because you got your 7,000 shekels, but that's the reality. You pro-Israel people are literally living in another world. The entire world knows it's a genocide. It's irrefutable. It's a fact. It's not up for debate anymore.
When did the ICJs call it a genocide, and what did the president of the ICJ say when she was told that she kept saying it was a genocide, that it was plausible? What did she say?
It's very simple. What is the definition of genocide? The destruction of a group of people in whole or in part. That is
that's great. That doesn't answer my question at all. I don't really know why you answered it that way.
Because I don't care. I don't care what someone at the ICJ said.
Well, that's what you're talking about when you're talking about that inquiry. That's what you're talking about. Okay, relax. I said 3 words. Okay.
The definition is all that matters. Who cares?
Okay, great. I agree. So stop bringing up people that you don't know what they actually said. The UN as a whole has not actually had any resolutions on genocide. I assume what you're talking about is the ICJ, which the president herself came out. Stop interrupting. Her president, the president herself came out and said that you guys were all wrong to take her word. No, don't Google it. Come back. It's okay. Not to run away. It's okay. Come back. Come back. There you go. Anyways, so the ICJ president herself came out and said that when they said it was plausible, they meant that the case being brought up was plausible, not that the genocide was plausible. They haven't actually done a ruling on that yet. Now, if you're talking about the UN, generally people are talking about General Assembly or security resolutions. That hasn't even happened, let alone been voted on.
I'm addressing what Fat Boy said earlier, because you weren't in here. Okay,
that's awesome.
I was addressing what he said.
That's incredible. And you guys, I guess, well, I don't know what Joe said, but if he said what you said,
that before you came in here.
Okay, perfect. Then both of you are wrong. Great. Then both of you are wrong. So it doesn't really matter. You guys are equally wrong.
Again, the definition of genocide is pretty cut and dry. You might not like it, you might not agree with it, but the definition is cut and dry. It is a genocide, bro. This is irrefutable. If we can't even come to a common ground of looking at the definition of a term, and
have you read the 1948 Genocide Convention
and the definition being fulfilled by that, then we
Great.
can't even have a conversation. And
That's
this is the
awesome.
issue with Israel.
Well, we can't have a
apologists.
conversation when you
Right.
don't let anyone else speak. I heard you the 10th time. You said it 10 times in a row. The definition
Because you're
matters. The
randomly
definition
bringing up some
matters.
ICJ woman as if that matters. I'm
Well,
going off the
first off, because
definition.
that's what you were talking about. That's
Oh,
what
dude.
you brought up.
I'm
Regardless
talking
if
about
you
the
were-
definition.
You're
And
still,
again,
you're
with
still
the
trying
UN
to
was
interrupt
was
instead of
was
just
fat
listening.
boy.
I
was
got
fat
you.
boy.
I got it. You're talking about the definition. I heard it the 20th time.
Okay, what's
So-
your position, bro? What do you disagree with? Go ahead.
Anyways, so with the definition, I'm asking you because it comes from the Genocide Convention, right, which was ratified in 1948 or 51, and it was brought in 1948. Have you read the Genocide Convention of 48?
I've went through it before, yes.
Okay, so you understand then that one of the things that's unique for genocide is what's called dolus specialis. Do you know what that is?
Hold on. Let me just so I make sure I understand your position. Are you
Oh
saying?
my fucking God, holy shit.
Let me ask you this: is your position that it was not a genocide?
What? Are you trying to stop me from what I'm saying to ask me a new question? What are you asking me right
I'm just
now?
trying to get to the bottom line here because you're over here referencing things that are completely irrelevant to the conversation.
The
And this is what
Genocide
you always do.
Convention is
You
irrelevant to
obfuscate- you
genocide?
obfuscate
Did you
from the topic
actually
at
just
hand.
fucking say that?
Was it a genocide? Yes or
Did
no?
you
Nick?
hold on real quick?
Was it a genocide?
Did
Yes or
you
no?
actually stop
Was
interrupting
it a
me?
genocide? Yes
This
or
guy
no?
is terrified to debate me. Holy fucking
No,
shit!
dude, because you obfuscate. You're just obfuscated. Like you're
Nobody.
literally
Did you
deflecting
just?
to things
I
that
just
don't
want to make
matter.
sure. First
You're
off, to
deflecting
answer
to things that don't
your
matter.
deflection, if I answer your deflection,
Wait,
will I be
stop,
able to
stop,
get
stop,
back to what I
stop,
was saying?
stop. Here's what we're gonna do. Nick, you explain your piece. Myron, you will be completely free to respond. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so I'll answer his deflection real quick. So yeah, of course it's not, but I'm gonna get back to what I was saying, and I just want everyone to hear that Myron just said that I'm bringing up irrelevant things when talking about genocide. Just to remind everyone, I was talking about the Genocide Convention of 1948. This guy is actually saying that the Genocide Convention is irrelevant to talking about genocide. Think about that for a second and think, is this a guy that should be debating this topic? Anyways, so back to the Genocide Convention. It is required, not maybe, not most of the time, it's required to have what's called dolus specialis, which we all know the Sudanese fuck doesn't know what that even means. The dolus specialis, what that means, okay, is the special intent. Now, what's the difference between intent and special intent that Myron has not, or sorry, Amaru does not understand the difference between the two? Special intent means you're not allowed to just use something that has the intent of something else, like warfare, targeting of this building, that building, Hamas, etc. And then you also double up and use it. But it also, you know, killed a bunch of civilians, so I'm going to double up and use it as genocide. You can do that with some war crimes. With genocide, you cannot. It has to have what's called the dolus specialis. Two separate elements are required, both mental and physical. Again,
Okay.
not one or the other.
Okay, let's let Myron respond to that. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, again, like I said before, I'm going off of the definition of genocide, okay? The definition right now is the destruction of a group of people, whole or in part. You can make a serious argument that a significant amount of people were killed during the genocide. Right now, we have roughly 70,000. We know it's going to be way more than that when they pull them out of the rubble and everything else is done. Also, there was starvation, bombing. They would drop. They'd claim that they would release the pamphlets and tell them that they're not going to bomb this area, but they would bomb it anyway. I don't think this is up for debate, bro. That this was a genocide. It is. Now, if you want to go into all this technical stuff and be like, well, actually, if you look at this convention, blah blah blah. No,
It's
because
required.
again.
No, wait, hold on, wait.
Can I
Stop,
finish?
guys. I'm giving you guys each 2 minutes apiece to explain your
You're not
piece.
answering anything I'm saying.
No,
I'm saying
wait,
bringing up technical stuff. It's required. It's not- Okay, go
Nick,
ahead.
hold on. Myron, you have 1 minute and 10 left. Please go ahead.
Okay. Again, I am using the textbook definition of genocide, okay? And from that perspective, it has been fulfilled. You can use other parameters if you want, Nick, but what I'm telling you is, based on the actual modern definition that we have now, the destruction of a group of people whole in part, it has been fulfilled. This is why there's arrest warrants right now for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. This is why the international community in general looks at it as a genocide. This is why, excuse me, this is why Israel has so many problems now and they've fallen out of favor and they have shills like you two defending them still getting paid $7,000. The entire world knows it's a genocide, whether you guys want to accept it or not, because all we have to do is keep it nice and simple and look at the definition. We don't need to go into all this other nuance, technical stuff, this convention, that. And that's what Nick does. Nick goes into random stuff that is completely irrelevant to the conversation to try to obfuscate. He always does this, okay? He's like, look at my historic knowledge on this. Dude, we're just using the simple definition, and I'll end with this. Every single genocide expert, for the most part, they all agree that this was a genocide. A lot of human rights organizations have come out and said it, to include B'Tselem, which is an Israeli-based human rights organization. They all have concluded that this is a genocide. You guys don't like facts, that's fine, but this is irrefutable. We can move on to the next topic.
No, we can't.
Okay,
So,
Nick. Okay, Nick. So you have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so once again, he didn't say anything different at all. He repeated his entire first point. On top of that, he is once again calling the Genocide Convention, which, by the way, that's where the definition comes from. When he says textbook definition, what he's talking about is the Genocide Convention. And as he admitted by his own words, he's never even read the fucking thing. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, I kind of went over it once." So he never even read it. So yeah, I imagine he doesn't know about that. So what he's doing effectively is he's taking the part that's the definition, not even fully, by the way, he's getting half of it wrong, but whatever. He's taking part of the definition that comes from this, ignoring everything else that is said to be required in the crime against of genocide against a people. And he's saying, I only want to use this. We call that cherry picking. And so to answer a couple things he said. So he said, when we remove the rubble, we're going to see a lot more deaths. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health themselves, there's only been about 8 to 10,000 people missing, which they don't know to be actually dead. But let's just assume it's 100% death rate. So even if we removed all the rubble and those 10,000 people are all dead, even though Walidi, who is the guy that actually runs the statistics for Hamas and the Gaza Ministry of Health for the death toll, he himself has said they actually had to remove names as they found more information, not add them, because they found out that there were people that weren't even in Gaza that were counted as dead. They found out people were adding names to the death toll so they can get more money. But that was Walidi, and you can look up on Sky News. But regardless, let's assume best case scenario for Myron's argument. Best case scenario, all of them are dead. That only would add 10,000 to the current 72 to 73,000. And again, that's not civilians. That's everyone, including all terrorists, collaborators, and civilians. And then as for the in whole or in part, he should look up the commentary of what in part means. How much more time do I have, Joe?
13 seconds.
Okay, well, I don't have enough time to get into it, but if he read the convention instead of cherry picking half a definition, shut the fuck up, I'm not done. If he were to actually read
dickhead, I'm telling you,
shut the fuck up, I'm not done. So if he were to actually read the entire convention, then he would know what all these quote unquote irrelevant words mean.
Okay, Myron, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, see, this guy is so dumb. He didn't even realize I was saying no, give him the extra time, but he's too stupid to understand that. But whatever, that's cool. So anyway, let's I kind of find it interesting, right? Because when we talked about the genocide earlier with this guy, he said, "Oh, that's war. That's war. People die." Let's not forget that 1,200 people died on October 7th, 400 of them being IDF, and then the Hannibal directive was activated on that day. So Israel went ahead and bombed the hell out of Gaza, killed tens of thousands of people, probably going to be, like I said before, into the 100,000s. Then they went ahead and started a war on multiple different fronts, okay? They started all types of conflicts. And you guys want to sit here and be like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's just war. But I don't see you guys saying it's just war when October 7th happened. And literally we have 800 people that were killed. And we don't even know how they were killed, because we do know on that day, according to Yoav Galan, that the Hannibal directive was absolutely activated on that day. So we, to this day, still don't know how many people Hamas killed versus how many people the IDF killed, because it was absolute pandemonium. We have tanks shooting into kibbutzes. We have Apache helicopters literally blowing up cars. That's why they were all destroyed in the way that they were. So I find it interesting how you guys will sit there and say, oh, it's war, bro. But when Israelis get killed, oh, no, go ahead and give them hell. Like, go ahead and completely do a genocide. And this comes back to what I've always said. This is the issue with Israel. This is the problem with a lot of you Zionists and you Jews. You guys have a supremacy problem. No one's life matters besides the Israelis. That's the biggest issue here, okay? So if they could go ahead and do a genocide off of 800 people being killed, who we don't even know who was killed by who, when the Hannibal directive was activated, I laugh that you guys will sit there and say 70,000 people dead. That's not that big of a deal, which goes to show the entire problem in of itself. Israel is literally a parasite state. Excuse me. It's a parasite state. We should not be.
All right, that's the end of your time. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so notice how he still yet has answered anything that I've asked. That is, again, I want to make it very clear, is 100% a requirement for genocide, not an option, not if you feel good when you want to talk about it. Then he just said that Israel started multiple wars, because unlike him, I'm actually going to answer the things he brings up. He said he started war on multiple conflicts. So obviously he already admitted about what happened in Gaza with October 7th. The other front would be Hezbollah in Lebanon, who actually started launching on October 8th, when Hezbollah began firing rockets, anti-tank missiles, artillery, etc. So they actually started before Israel went in. And then for Yemen with the Houthis began launching missiles and drones towards Israel and attacking Red Sea shipping in October of 2023. Israel strikes came actually much later after those repeated attacks. So they started that. For Iraqi and Syrian militias, there was various IRGC-backed militias in Iraq and Syria that launched drones and rockets towards Israel early on in the war, and the Israeli strikes against those militia facilities and Iranian-linked targets, if you will, in Syria occurred after those groups became involved, or after intelligence identified, imminent threats. So that was also started by in the Syrian and Iraqi area. And then Iran itself, obviously, the first direct attack on Israel came to April 2024 with hundreds of drones and missiles. So I'm not really sure when he says Israel started a bunch of wars. Again, I just don't understand if he just didn't follow the timeline. As for the Hannibal directive, yeah, they were commenting on a Haaretz article that specifically talked about it. If he took the time to read, just like he said he didn't read the Genocide Convention, he didn't read the article either. The article actually talks about a maximum of about 14 to 20 people that were killed, even if we assume Haaretz is 100% correct, including one area where 13 were killed via tank fire because there was 50 Hamas terrorists shooting out from inside the building while holding hostages, and they shot back with the tank. Most of the people were killed in the first 4 to 6 hours of the October 7th attack. The first 4 to 6 hours. Israel didn't even actually respond with full troops until 6 hours after. So how the fuck did they kill people when your guys' whole point is that Israel didn't respond for 6 hours? Which one is it? They responded right away and killed their own people, or they responded after 6 hours?
Okay, response from Myron.
Okay, so yes, the Hannibal directive was activated a day, and obviously you're going off of Haaretz. Again, we don't know exactly how many people it was. That's why I told you we still don't know the exact breakdown on that day because it was so chaotic. We don't know. Okay, and then the important thing to realize is it was activated on that day. And then also, I love how people like Nick and a lot of Zionists always start the conflict at October 7th. Don't forget that the whole situation why Hezbollah exists in the first place is because of Israeli aggression when they invaded Lebanon in the early 80s. So, see, the thing with Zionists, you guys always start everything at October 7th. You never start with all the other problems that were around before, whether it's the occupation, cutting up the grass, the taking prisoners with no charge and putting them in these horrible prisons like SD Teneman, where they're literally graping prisoners, by the way. I find it funny how they talk about mass grapes with Hamas when in reality it's really the Israelis that were doing it the entire time. And then when they went ahead and got arrested for it, they end up getting their charges dropped. Okay, so don't miss me with the whole they started the war on October 7th. This conflict has been going on way longer than that, and Israeli aggression has been a big part of the reason with that. So my position is I don't want to assist Israel anymore in these conflicts, because the only reason why they behave the way that they do and they're a rogue state is because they know that they have the U.S. backing them. So look, Nick, I know you love Israel and you're getting paid your $7,000 to defend them right now alongside Fat Boy over here, and that's totally fine, no issue. Take your shekels and enjoy them. He can go buy some beer with it. Maybe you can go ahead and hit a gym because you guys both look like shit. But the reality is facts are facts, and that Israel is the biggest problem in the region. We need to stop supporting them. That is my position. That's the entire reason why I came in here. So when he said, Israel's the good guys. No, they're not, and we should not be backing them. That is my position. That's what I came here to argue with Fat Boy today.
Okay, great. Anyways, notice how once again he did not answer anything. I'm surprised when he blocked me and ran away from me and talked about me every 5 seconds on his live about how I'm a nobody. And
I just told you the war didn't start on October 7th.
My turn. That's great. That's great. Shut the fuck up and sit in your corner. Anyways,
stop fucking lying.
Stop, Myron. Stop.
Sit in your corner. Anyways, so back to it. So notice how he did not answer anything I said about the first 4 to 6 hours. He then deflected once again. Okay, I thought this would be a better debate because he was running away from me so much that I thought, man, this guy's going to be a pretty good debate if I ever get to. This is the worst debate I've ever been in. So I will continue to chase how he keeps deflecting, and I will answer, and I'll show him. Maybe he'll learn a thing or two on how to answer a point. So he brought up Lebanon in the 1980s. So that's just wrong. Actually, Israel first went into Lebanon in 1978. But funny how he doesn't say why. Because of the Palestinian Fedayeen fighters who began using southern Lebanon for operations into northern Israel in 1968. So it's really funny how not only does he actually get the date wrong, but he also ignores all the context of what even fucking happened in the first place. You know what? I'm not going to take that back. He didn't ignore it. He just doesn't fucking know anything about this conflict. As for the rape and state Timon that he's talking about, so even the original person who actually leaked the video, the inspector general, she never even said anything about a rape. On top of that, the guy that they said got raped, he never even said anything about getting raped until over a month later. And that was only because that was after everyone started lying and talking about what the video said. The original charge never said it. The original guy never said it. He said he was beat. That's it. And then he had something that he was hiding up his and then he took it out during the bathroom visit. That was 4 to 6 hours after the video that you guys saw that was splintered together when they said it wasn't edited. And then the woman who edited together threw her phone in the water to get rid of the evidence. And even she never said anything about that. So this guy's just making stuff up because, again, he's just getting his information from like Twitter and TikTok. But anyways, back to the original point that I want to remind everyone that he brought up, and now he's not even talking about anymore, the genocide. So if we're talking about numbers, it's not about numbers. It's about the destruction of a people, that special intent to destroy that people. Right now, the birth rate, according to the United Nations in the first year, was larger than the entire death toll, even if you include all terrorists. Even if you include all 10,000 of those people that are under rubble, there's actually a higher amount. So they don't have an intent to destroy. Go ahead.
All right, Myron, you're up.
Again, this is why the definition is in whole or in part. You're over here arguing, oh, bro, they have high birth rates, so it's not a genocide. If I shoot you and I don't kill you, it's still attempted murder. So that's a ridiculous argument that you and Fatboy have been making here. Next, when it comes to Hezbollah, yes, you are correct about the PLO. But again, this comes from the aggression from the Israelis. They are going to resist because the Israelis don't give the Palestinians any type of rights. Yes, I understand that there's 2 million people that live within Israel, but what about all the other people in the West Bank and the people that live in Gaza who literally have like no rights, okay? So this is why they fight. And then as far as like the whole rape thing, you're wrong once again, and you're blatantly lying to everyone in here because it's on video, dude. There's a reason why they literally got charged and they almost went to jail and ended up getting dropped after the fact, and a bunch of people protested in Israel to say they have the right to rape. So you're lying once again. That's all you guys do is lie, okay? So it literally, they have it on video. Dude, like, what are you talking about? Saying that it didn't happen. And then what else are you claiming that I didn't answer? Oh, the Haaretz thing. I did answer that. I said we still don't know. You're saying 15 to 20, right? That's what Haaretz is saying. That's one source. We still don't know what it was total, okay? Well, between who was killed by the IDF and who was killed by Hamas, and then all the friendly fire and everything else that was going on that day. Because like I said before, all those burnt cars that were destroyed, they tried to blame that on Hamas originally, but that actually ended up being Israelis with the Apache helicopters because Hamas does not have sophisticated weaponry like that, okay? So what else did you say? You gave another point. Just make sure I want to get all of them because I actually did answer them. I talked about Hezbollah. I talked about the war that started on October 7th. I talked about Haaretz. We still don't know. That's one source, fine, but we don't know the full amount of who killed who. What else did you say, Nick, that you said I didn't answer allegedly? What else?
Okay, you got time left. You got 10 seconds left.
No, because this dude is coming in here lying, saying like I didn't answer the questions when I did.
Wait, do you guys? Hold on, wait. Let me ask
the genocide thing.
So wait,
yeah.
let me ask you both. Do you want to go to a format where we don't have time?
Nope, I want to answer all the shit that he just.
All right. So
I was answering you, retard.
No, good. It's all good. It's all good. So we're gonna give Nick his 2 minutes. Go ahead.
No, well, I'm asking him. What
No, stop. We're giving Nick his 2 minutes.
Again, I want to know.
Myron, stop. You asked him questions. We're going to give him 2 minutes to respond. If you guys want to change the format, we can do that.
Nope. This is perfect.
Hold on,
anyway,
it's okay. Oh, wait, hold on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Nick his 2 minutes, and then we can talk about it after that. Go ahead, Nick.
Bro.
Great. All right, perfect. So he brought up the Apache helicopter. Just so everyone knows, this was debunked on November 17, 2023, and Myron is still catching up, I guess. So this was something that actually came from a November 9th Instagram post. Here's the direct and archive link if you guys want to see it. And it shows, yes, the military helicopter that were attacking people on the ground. This came from a pro-Palestinian site, okay? Except the problem is it was false because the actual video was shared by the IDF themselves on October 9th, the month before, and it actually had nothing to do with the Kibbutzim or the Nova Music Festival. It was actually them attacking Hamas terrorists in the Gaza envelope near the security fence. So that's what he's talking about, the Apache helicopter. And the reason you guys don't really hear it anymore is because everyone realized this was debunked a long fucking time ago. I cannot believe this is the first time I've heard this in like over a year. I can't believe he actually fucking said that. That was debunked a long time ago. Let's see, what else did he say? He said the PLO went to Lebanon because of Israeli aggression. Actually, no, the PLO went to Lebanon because they actually killed Wasif al-Tal in Cairo, but that was actually in 1971. Actually, that was later. But they attempted to kill the King Hussein of Jordan, and they killed the prime minister. This was known as Black September. The King Abdullah I was killed. That was in 1951. That is when they kicked the Palestinians out, and then they went to Lebanon. It wasn't because of Israeli aggression. In fact, they were attacking Jordan just as much as they were really attacking Israel. And then Jordan kicks the Palestinians out, just like how Kuwait kicked them out, Lebanon kicks them out. They even went to Egypt and attempted to assassinate their third president, and they were kicked out then too, because everywhere they've gone, even in their surrounding friendly areas, they kicked them out because they're a violent, barbaric people. As for the charging against rape, they were never charged with rape. That's what I just fucking said. They were never charged with that. That was never actually on the original investigation, and I'm out of time.
All good. So, Myron, on you.
Yeah, no. So I love the fact that this guy is researching everything as I'm talking, as I'm sitting here talking on this phone, and he's researching everything using
Nope, I
AI,
have
which
that
is fine.
bookmark.
You no, dude, you literally just pulled it up on your computer, so you're literally researching as we're doing debate, which is cool. I could pull up my computer too and make you look like a moron, but that's cool. I don't need to do that.
No, you can't because I'm smarter than you.
So again, no, dude, you don't know what you're talking about because you've just been once again.
Nick, let him say his piece.
Again, yeah, you're just lying as usual. You're saying that the rapes didn't happen. It did happen. You talked about the Apache helicopters not being real. They're absolutely real. There's also thermal vision of them shooting at the Hamas fighters on that day, and you can't see who's who. Like, you're just in here blatantly lying, pushing Israeli propaganda because all of this stuff has been shown. So you could go ahead and pull up some article, be like, actually, that's not right. It's there, dude. There's the thermal images when the Apache helicopters are shooting at people. It's there, and it's very difficult to tell who's who. Okay, so you're just blatantly lying again. So you lied about the rapes, you lied about the Apache helicopters. You're researching stuff right now and still getting spanked, and it's quite embarrassing. And now, as far as like with Hezbollah or whatever, with the whole thing, yes, I agree with you. Yes, it was with the PLO and everything else like that, and they chased them into there. But my thing is, why would you? They're invading another country to go in, just like they're doing. What does that say? What the hell? Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I was like, what the fuck? What I'm saying is that they're repeating history right now, and they invaded Lebanon again to try to create a security buffer zone, which they've been trying to do forever. And obviously, that's messing with the ceasefire that we have right now. And again, this comes back to my original position from the very beginning before Nick showed up. This is why we need to stop supporting Israel. They create problems. They have no issue with invading sovereign land, occupying land, being in places they shouldn't be. They use the rules of security, and we want to be able to protect ourselves or defend ourselves. It's never about that. It's just about expanding and making their country bigger and creating a greater Israel project. So yeah, dude, like Nick, you're just straight up lying as usual. You're pushing out the Israeli propaganda, and you're using AI and researching as we're debating, and you're still getting spanked. You're just
all right,
lying.
good. So now it's Nick's turn. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, perfect. So no, I'm not researching where we're going. I just have this stuff bookmarked because I go live and talk about this all the time. So I know. Stop, shut up. So he just said that the thermal image, this is what he's talking about. Again, it was posted by the IDF themselves on October 9th, 2023. This is the video he is talking about. And unless he's trying to say that, I'm not gonna play too much because it's live, but this is the video he's talking about, the thermal image. Unless he's trying to say the IDF themselves posted them, but it actually says the strike locations. I would ask him, but I know he doesn't know. Bet Hanun, do you know where these locations are? Afrokan, Rimba. Do you know where those are, Myron? Do you think those are the name of the kibbutzim? No, you're just an idiot. Those are the names of the Gaza Strip. So when you say they don't know who's who, that video comes from when they were attacking in the Gaza Strip on October 9th. You said they were attacking during the October 7th attack, during the Hannibal directive, and you said they were attacking like kibbutzim in the Nova Music Festival where they were killing their own. It's not even on the fucking Israel side, dude. So whatever you want to think, and also I'm not using AI. That was X, and the last thing I used was USA Today, which was a fact check on the whole thing. As for the Hannibal directive, when he earlier said like Gallant and other officials had said, hey, they are using, we use the Hannibal directive as active on October 7th. Yes, they were literally referencing the report that was talked about in Haaretz. So when you said earlier, oh yeah, Nick, you're talking about Haaretz, but we don't actually know. That's what they were referencing, and that was your literal source. That's the source that you said. The people, the officials that were saying it, they were talking about that report. So yes, we do know how much, but I asked you again, and you never answered this question. I have two questions. The first question you never answered. Do you, just like every other pro-pally, say that it took Israel like 6 hours to respond? And if you do think that, can you explain how they killed their own people when by far most of the 1,200 were killed within those first 6 hours? Second question, you keep talking about it didn't start on October 7th. First off, I agree with you. No one's ever said that. So when did it start? Can you give me like a definitive date? Go ahead.
Okay, so the first, as far as like, you could go all the way back to 48. You can go even before that. It's been going on for a very long time.
Be specific, Myron. Be specific.
It depends on where you want to start it. Earlier, you started on October 7th because you're saying that they. Okay, all right. Can
no, wait, let him go. Let him go. You have your 2 minutes.
You just want him to answer my question.
No, Nick. Hold on, wait, stop. Both of you. Hold on, wait, stop. Hold on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let Myron respond. He can answer your questions or not, but he's got 2 minutes to do it.
Yes, so you can start in the early 1900s. You could, when they first were coming into Palestine, British Mandatory Palestine, you could talk about 48. Before that, you could start anywhere. But my thing is that most Zionists like to begin the conflict on October 7th, okay? Because you were saying, oh, Israel didn't start the war. These guys started the war on October 7th. Well, here's the thing. There's been a bunch of problems before that led to that conflict. It's not like October 7th happened out of anywhere. There was a bunch of different escalations that had occurred. Whether you want to talk about the red cows being brought over to Israel, you want to talk about the imminent destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which they're trying to do. Ben Gvir walking up to the Temple Mount, starting issues. The Palestinians that get arrested and are without charge, that are being held, or the Abraham Accords, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, the killing of Soleimani. There were so many different things that played into October 7th. Saudi Arabia potentially joining the Abraham Accords. All of these things played into it. So, and then as far as like the Hannibal directive, once again, you were not listening to what I was saying. When I talked about the Hannibal directive, that came directly from Yoav Gallant's mouth himself during an Israeli interview, where he said, yes, the Hannibal directive was activated on that day, and in some other parts, it should have been activated even sooner. Also, how you're saying that they were killing each other, the Israelis are killing the civilians. Yes, there's footage of tanks shooting into kibbutzes, bro. And I see what you're saying. You're like, hey, well, there might have been Hamas terrorists in there, you know. But the point is that they were still shooting their own people and killing their own people, which is what I'm trying to say here. And we still don't know, because there was pandemonium on that day, how many people Hamas killed versus how many people the IDF killed. And the whole reason why I'm even bringing up that argument in the first place is because Zionist apologists like you guys will sit there and say 70,000 isn't even that big of a deal. Oh, it's not a genocide. Oh, what percentage of people were killed? But then you guys want to go ahead and justify Israel's ridiculous amount of force off of 800 people that were killed, because we know 400 of those people that died on October 7th were enemy combatants, members of the IDF. So the very terrorism that you guys complain about all the time has been perpetrated by the Israelis from the beginning. So,
okay, good. So, Nick, your response.
Yeah, sure. So I want to point out, when he says Ben Gvir starting trouble on the Temple Mount, that's just a Jew walking up on the Temple Mount. They're allowed to do that.
No, they're not. They're lying again.
No, wait. Stop.
No,
Myron, stop. Myron, stop. Wait, no, wait, hold on. Wait, both of you stop. Here's the thing. If you guys want me to set this up so you can argue over each other, I'm happy to do that. Would you?
I don't want to argue over each other, but just give him 10 seconds to tell me why I was lying when all I said was Jews are allowed to go up on the Temple Mount.
Okay, go ahead, Myron.
They're not allowed to go up to the Temple Mount because only Muslims are supposed to go up there, because there's a mosque up there. See, this is the issue with Nick, dude. This is the issue with Nick.
No.
Wait, stop.
Okay.
Go back to mute. So
dude, because you're lying.
Myron, you said your piece. We gave you beyond.
He's lying.
Myron, stop. Myron, stop. Wait, everybody stop. Myron, we gave you, Nick literally said, give you extra time to say your piece. And now I'm going to give Nick his 2 minutes. So it's on you.
Anyone can Google this, or they can just go into my well, not this profile, my main profile. I went up onto the Temple Mount with Jews, by the way. I have no idea. I've never heard a pro-Pali ever say this. This is the first time anyone has been this dumb to get this wrong. Jews absolutely are allowed to go up there. Just because there's a mosque up there, there's multiple mosques up there, does not mean you're not allowed to go up there. You only can go during certain times, and you're only allowed to use the entrance that's next to the Kotel, and you have to go up that wooden bridge. But yes, Jews are allowed to go up there as long as they follow those timelines. That's it. I have no idea where he even got this from. Everyone that doesn't believe me, just go Google it.
Okay, anyway, I got it from.
Oh, wait, stop.
Anyways, as for when he says you can start whenever, because he doesn't want to tell me a specific date, and I know why he doesn't want to, because he knows where I'm going to go with it. But he says, yeah, it can be 48, it can be the early 1900s. That's like the earliest he went. I'm just curious, if you go with 48, then what was the Hebron massacre of 29 for? What was the Arab revolt attacks from 36 to 39 where they slaughtered over 500 Jews for? What was the purpose of the 29 Sfat massacre? What was the purpose of the 21 Jaffa riots, the 1920 Nebi Musa riots and massacres? And also, if you want to go before the 1900s, what was the purpose of the Sfat and Druze attack and massacre in 1838 or 1834 pogrom in Sfat? Or if you want to go all the way back to the 1500s, what was the purpose of the 1517 Sfat attacks or the 1517 Hebron massacre? So yeah, sure, you're right. We can start whenever you want to cherry pick your time to start. But saying that it didn't start on October 7th, I agree with you. It's just as stupid to say everything started on October 7th, just as dumb as it is to say everything started in 1948 or whatever date that you wanted to cherry pick and pick. As for tanks firing into kibbutzim, yeah, I agree. Tanks have fired into kibbutzim. That doesn't prove that Israelis were being killed or targeted. The Hannibal directive has nothing to do with targeting civilians. It has to do with military personnel, and I'm out of time. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's they purposely say it that way because mandatory service in IDF, so everyone is effectively a soldier, whether it's full active or not. So nice try there. Also, you're lying as usual, because no, the Jews cannot go up to the mount. How do I know this? Because even your boy Rabbi Shmuley said, yeah, we can't go up there. Why does Ben Gvir go up there with a bunch of security to antagonize them if they can go up there openly? No, they're not supposed to be going up there.
Oh wait, hold on, wait, Myron.
Just let him go. It'll be funny.
You're searching the internet and still lying. You're researching, and I've caught you with 5 lies.
That's amazing. Anyways, yeah, that's great. I don't really care what you think at this point. You did way worse than I thought. You were worse than Sneeko, and I didn't even know that was possible because Sneeko is dumb as fuck. And you can take some tips from Sneeko. You can come to my live. You blocked me. You remember that. You made every excuse to everyone in your live about why you couldn't debate me. First off, you should look up if Jews are allowed on the Temple Mount. They are. There's this whole Supreme Court ruling in Israel about it. I promise you they're allowed.
And that's why Ben Gvir goes up with the security and they antagonize, right? When he goes up to the mount,
just like every politician, they go up with security. Right? That's not the same thing as Jews aren't allowed. That was a stupid point you just said.
He's going up there antagonizing because he can go up there, right?
Yeah, so I don't agree. First off, I don't even like Ben Gvir. I'm debunking your stupid claim that Jews are not allowed up there.
Are you running now? Are you running now?
Like, are we gonna do this or what? You don't get to do that, Myron or Amru. You don't get to fucking duck me for months and then say I'm running.
You're running right now. I'm telling you, I'm turning on the stream and look at you. You're like,
that's because I go live at 8:30. If you want, you're more than welcome to show up on my live. When I go live on Twitch, on YouTube, on X, on TikTok.
No, let's do it right now with a moderator. Why are you scared? Let's do it right now with a moderator.
Listen, Amru, you don't get to duck me for months doing
now. Yeah, see, here's the thing, because you know that you've been caught in like 4 to 5 different lies. That's why.
That's great. You
got caught in a bunch of lies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like Jews aren't allowed on the Temple Mount. Yeah.
Like it wasn't a genocide. Like it wasn't a genocide. Like it was they only killed a certain percentage.
Trying to bring that up, and you were the one.
Like the Hannibal directive wasn't activated. You've been caught in multiple lies. You've been caught in multiple lies.
Anyways, that's great. You did a great job, Amru.
Like the rapes didn't happen. Yes, they did.
Amru, you did a great job. You keep telling yourself, go up on your live and try to get your little shekels and make everyone really happy. And you can,
why are you scared,
can go
dude?
in and tell people.
Why are you scared? Let's do it.
Anyways. Yeah, again, you're more than welcome to come up on my live. I'm not fucking chasing you and canceling what I do every night for you who did worse than Sneeko. Great.
You're here right now.
Cool. I am here right now. I'll continue the debate right now, but I'm not fucking chasing you to your live because you got smoked.
No, nobody got smoked. Fat ass keeps muting.
You want to continue?
So no. Hold on, wait. Here's what we'll do. I will not say a single word. I won't even regulate the time. You guys have your debate.
Listen, I'm going to be real with you. He has deflected every fucking step. I was the one trying to get us to talk about genocide, and somehow now we're talking about Apache helicopters and the Temple Mount. That was all him. What's the point? I'm just chasing every fucking stupid thing he says. What exactly do you want to debate about?
Again, we can, like I said, we can keep going. Like when it comes to the whole genocide,
let's get to the last thing we were talking about.
I don't think we're going to agree on that.
Right.
I don't think we're going to agree on that with the genocide because I told you what the definition is. You don't like that. You don't think it's a genocide. That's fine.
I never said I didn't like that. You're just being disingenuous right now.
All the genocide experts who actually study this and know what they're talking about.
This is an appeal to authority fallacy. This is a logical fallacy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Appeal to. Yeah. Regardless, tell me how you know more about it being a genocide when it literally fits the definition.
Literally
every expert says it is.
This is literally an appeal to authority.
Yeah, I know that. But what I'm saying is like, what makes your argument better? That it's not a genocide.
Yeah, so once again,
you're arguing it's not.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So again, first off, when you reference the UN, right? Well, I assume by UN you mean subcommittees. There is no UN resolution on genocide that was voted on about what's going on in Gaza. So I assume you're talking about the subcommittees.
Again, that was in response to Fat Boy. That was in response to Fat Boy.
Like I said, if he said that, then you were both wrong. So that doesn't help your case that you were both wrong. That's just stupid. It's like, oh, he said that, so I'm going to say something wrong? Yeah, good point, Myron. You made a good point. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So the ICJ president, you're still, yep, go ahead. What's up?
No, go ahead. Finish what you're going to say now.
Yeah, so again, the ICJ president came out and specifically debunked the fact that her quote was being used wrong over and over and over. So when you say every single expert says this, it's not even true to begin with. But even if it was, I don't give a shit. Unlike you, I'm not going to say I'm right because this person says I'm right. I'm telling you why I'm right.
And I'm telling you why you're wrong. Because we can, again, 70,000 people got killed. It doesn't matter if they eliminated now it's so. But when 800 Israelis get killed, you guys are bitching. See the difference
But
here?
I never called that a genocide. I didn't say so.
Because it's not.
I'm real.
But what the Israelis did to Gaza is.
Okay, wow. Okay, great. But you're the one bringing up the point to prove your point. So when I said so, I don't mean so like who cares. I meant so for your argument.
No,
if you're going to bring that up as evidence, then you must be connecting it with genocide. But you aren't claiming genocide because 70,000 specifically were killed.
No, I brought up that number because that's what Fat Boy was trying to do when I was talking to him. He was making an argument.
Why do you keep bringing him up, Amru? Make your fucking point about genocide. Stop bringing up him.
Dude, I'm telling you this because this is how this entire conversation before you came
don't
into the play.
care.
That's why I made those arguments. Well, you're asking me why did I say 70,000? Why did I harp on that? And I'm telling you why.
I don't care.
So then why
about
the fuck did you ask me if you don't care? You literally said, why are you bringing up the 70,000? I'm telling you why.
First off, that's not what happened. I said, so what? And then you said, so what? And then you incorrectly said 800, even though it was 1,200.
No, again, yes, I'm saying it's 800 because 400 of the people that died were IDF soldiers, aka.
So then why are you saying 70,000 in Gaza? How many were Hamas?
No, what I said was Israel.
Why are you saying 70,000 in Gaza? If you're going to say I'm only counting civilians, that's why I said 800, then why are you saying 70,000 in Gaza?
Because I said, what I was saying was, can I respond?
Yes.
Okay. When Palestinians die, it's a war, bro. Like, it's a war.
What does that have to do with my question?
Right? Let me
what does
answer
this
the
have to do
question.
with my question?
Bro, stop fucking interrupting, dude. Like,
but you're not answering the question. This has
I am
nothing to do with
answering
my
it right
question.
now. I am answering it right now.
I don't see how, but
the
go
reason
ahead.
why I'm bringing up, shut the fuck up when I'm talking, dude. Holy shit. Like, I let you get your piece off right there. Okay. Again, the reason why that I mentioned the 70,000 is because when I was talking with this guy earlier, he kept saying it's not a genocide because it's a small percentage of people that died. I said, I think it's more than 70,000, but that's irrelevant because the genocide, the definition is the destruction or killing of people in whole or in part.
Got it.
Then I made the argument saying, then I made the argument. I said, I find it interesting that Zionist apologists like you and Fatboy over here getting paid your $7,000, you guys will sit there and say Israel has every right to defend itself and attack all their neighbors and wage a full-on war.
What does this have to do with the question?
And carpet bomb Gaza, right? Over 800 people.
Great.
When
what
they
does this have to do with the
70,000.
question? What does this have to do with my question? My question is
to show you the lack of proportionality on the Israeli side. That's why.
Great. Well, what does that have to do with my
why.
question? My question to you, because you said the reason you used the number 800 is because you were only counting non-IDF soldiers or security, right? You're saying you were only counting civilians. So
Roughly
then I asked
IDF.
you, great. It wasn't just IDF. Some were just security officers, but fine, whatever. Who cares? That's why you brought up the 800. I'm going to ask the question again, and I'm going to give you a break. Maybe you just weren't listening. Try locking in this time and listening. You said 800 because you weren't counting those in the military or security. So I asked you, then why are you saying 70,000 in Gaza? Because you don't know what the split is between Hamas, PFLP, DFLP, PIJ, PRC, Army of Islam, Mujahideen brigades, collaborators, and civilians. So my question is, why are you using 70,000 in Gaza, but 800 in Israel?
To show the lack of proportionality where Israel go ahead and do a genocide over 800
Oh my God,
people.
is this guy really that fucking dumb?
Yo, are you that dense?
You're not getting it. I'm saying, I'm going to ask you one more time real quick.
You're fucking retarded,
I can't tell if you're trolling or not.
I can't tell if you're stupid.
I'm asking you,
you're fucking dumb.
One more
dumb.
second. I'm asking you, why are you using 800 versus 1,200? You said, because Nick, I'm only counting the civilians. So then I asked, okay, then why are you using 70,000 for Gaza and not just what you think the civilian death toll is? Is it really not clicking to you?
Okay, way more civilians died in Gaza than the 800 that died in Israel. I'm trying to explain to you the proportionality.
God, dude. How is this so confusing?
Dude. You like, okay, how many kids
I cannot wait to
the
upload
IDF
this.
kill? Because here's the thing, you guys don't even understand how fucking crazy you sound. Literally, the IDF bombs and kills kids every single day, okay?
What does that have to do with what I'm asking you?
Their entire justification for doing that was October 7th. And on October 7th, 800 civilians died. That's my point.
What does that have to do with how many civilians died in Gaza? Do you think the civilian death toll of Gaza is 72,000?
Of course not. We know that a percentage of them were actually Hamas fighters, sure.
Okay, perfect. So wait, hold on. No, Myron, we're almost there.
Keep going. Yeah, go ahead.
Myron, we're almost there. Think about how you're answering why we're all laughing in the comments and at you. Because when you brought up the... Right, great. When you brought up the death toll on October 7th, you only counted civilians. So you said 800 instead of 1,200. Is that accurate, correct, right?
Yes, 1,200 died on that day.
Great. And then you said 800 because you were counting the civilians. So then I asked you for the 30th time, then why do you keep saying 70,000 for Gaza when you just admitted that's not civilian deaths, that's total deaths? Does the question make sense now?
Okay, because of that 70,000 that were killed, a bunch of them were children and innocent people that it far exceeds 800.
What does that have to do with my... Okay, I'm just going to move on because I don't think you understand the question.
Stupid? Are you that stupid?
I cannot wait to upload this.
See, Nick, this is the problem. Yo, Nick, you are slow, dude. You are not smart whatsoever. I'm telling you that the entire basis for Israel bombing the fuck out of Gaza and doing a genocide was because of 1,200 people. And then they killed hundreds of thousands in response to that. That's what I'm saying.
Wait, did you say hundreds of thousands?
When this is all said and done, there's going to be well over 100,000 to 200,000 people that were killed. That's absolutely.
Well, first off, the minimum would be 200,000 to say hundreds of thousands. Just basic math, Myron. But that being said,
the 200,000 Harvard different depending on where you read.
Oh,
Harvard
yes,
came out with a
bring
number
up the Harvard study.
at 300. Again, I'm telling you, there's different people that have different numbers. I'm not saying it's accurate, but I'm telling you that it's going to be lots of people. And I find it interesting how I'm talking about 40,000, 100,000. No, I'm just saying this to illustrate to you. It's crazy to me how Israel did all of this for 1,200, and you guys are like, yeah, totally, go ahead and defend yourself. But then when I say, well, they killed tens of thousands, 100,000 plus 200,000, it's like, oh, well, it's actually, would it be 200,000? Is it 100,000? Like, you don't see the proportionality issue here. Is what I'm trying to explain.
The problem is exactly. Actually, that's the first time you said it, and that's what I want to bring up.
I said it like 4 times. You're stupid.
Great.
You're literally dumb.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Anyways, I don't give a shit about proportionality. Proportionality would have been Israel. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No. You just exposed yourself.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Oh my God, I exposed myself. Oh, you
exposed yourself. Yeah.
You Islamophobe. Yeah, great. Anyways.
I'm not going to call you
that. I don't give a shit. Yeah, shut up. Anyways, I don't give a shit about proportionality. Neither does any war ever in history. That's just stupid. War has never been based off of proportionality. Strikes have to be proportionate. I agree with that. Strikes, according to international law.
And when are strikes conducted?
Stop talking. Strikes on an individual level, for example, have to be proportionate for the military advantage that it is gaining based off of whatever that might be. That makes sense, but we're talking about proportionality over the course of a year. 6 hours, Hamas killed about 1,200 people. In almost 3 years, we're at 72,000, right? The rate is insanely different. I care about intent. That intent actually shows more on the Hamas side than it does on Israel's side. You cannot pick even a 24-hour period where Israel killed as many as Hamas did in 6 hours.
They killed way more over the 3 years, and they carpet bombed the hell out of Gaza with reckless disregard. Are we serious right now?
Yeah, do you not know what the word rate means?
They literally carpet bombed.
You literally just proved what I just said.
Dude.
Do you know what the word rate means, Myron?
Yeah, you are fucking stupid.
Okay,
it's
so
actually incredible.
No, he doesn't know what the word rate means. Got it. So just Google rate on your own time. Anyways, back to what I'm saying. Carpet bombing requires bombers, which Israel doesn't even have bombers, so there isn't carpet bombing.
So how did Gaza get bombed? How did Gaza get bombed then?
With jets and drone. What are you asking right now? Do you think Israel has bombers?
You're making the argument.
Do you think Israel has bombers, Amru?
Oh my God, dude.
Why can't you just answer a question? I don't understand why it's so hard.
You're making the argument.
Do you think Israel has bombers?
They have obviously they have an air force, a very sophisticated air force. They have
the answer is no. I'm just gonna keep going. The answer is no. They do not have bombers. Anyways, back to what I was trying to say. Do you believe there's indiscriminate
They have
bombing?
American fighter jets.
Great.
Okay, they have American fighter jets.
Great.
They have F-35s.
Yeah, that's not a bomber, Amru. Wow.
Dude,
you're proving me right.
No, dude.
Holy
and what did the planes drop, dude? What did the planes drop? They dropped bombs.
Do you think that's what?
They drop bombs. They do connect. Like, bro, what are you talking about?
Do you think that's what a bomber is? You fucking idiot.
I didn't say a bomber. I said they bomb. I said they bomb.
I said they don't have bombers.
You are fucking retarded. You are fucking retarded. Dude, you are literally retarded. I said they're bombing Gaza, and then you went ahead and said, oh, they're using a bomber? I never said they used a bomber. I said they're bombing Gaza.
You said that.
I said they're bombing Gaza.
Yeah, that's right. Reel it back. I would reel it back too.
No, I said they're bombing Gaza.
Do you think there was
a bomber?
All right,
and I'm
great.
like,
Next point. Do you think there was indiscriminate bombing in Gaza?
They were bombing hospitals. They were bombing
That's not what I asked you.
Homes.
Do you think there was indiscriminate, as in you don't care really what you hit, you're going to bomb it anyways? Indiscriminate. You're not
if you're bombing hospitals, yeah, you could say that.
According to Article 19 of Geneva, yes, Article 19 Geneva Convention 4.
You're bombing churches, you're bombing
that's
mosques.
Article 19. Yeah, that's Article 19 of Geneva Convention 4. I'm not asking about that. You just keep trying to deflect to that. I'm asking you, do you think Israel was bombing without discrimination? As in they didn't care what they were hitting. They were just going to bomb it anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What percentage of buildings have been damaged or destroyed in Gaza? Just a rough estimate.
Like as far as like infrastructure goes, we were talking all buildings?
Yeah, infrastructure, buildings, whether all of it.
Well, it depends. I mean, it's obviously significant. It depends on who you ask. So obviously you talk to a Zionist, they're gonna be like, oh, only 20% of their infrastructure is gone.
No, I'll tell you, I'm a Zionist. I'll say it's about 60 to 90%.
Okay, fair. I was gonna say in the 70 range, but yeah, it's somewhere in the middle there. It depends on who you. 70. It depends on who you ask, because everyone's gonna give you a
we'll just
different
get a rough estimate right now. What percentage of, even if we believe Hamas's numbers and we don't even separate between civilian and Hamas, just straight up total deaths, what percentage of Gaza has been killed if we go with the current 72,000 death toll right now?
You'd say less than 10%. What? Gaza's 2.2, about 2 million people.
2.1 million, yeah.
Yeah, 2 million to 2.2.
That's like 3 to 4%.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. they were bombing all types of places. Okay, not bomber, by the way. Listen very closely, Nick. I know it's hard for you to do that.
I know you're walking that back now.
I know you hear bomber. You think I'm talking about a B-2 bomber. No, retard. I'm talking about bombing, okay? That's what I mean. So, yes, when they're bombing Gaza, they're bombing all kinds of infrastructure. And yes, they don't have any type of regard for any type of human life. Because here's the thing. They don't care. They just drop the bomb and they just kill people.
I got that. But my question for you...
So it is indiscriminate. Yes, to answer your question, it's indiscriminate.
Great.
It is.
Great. So the reason I brought up bomb... Okay, hold on one sec. So a couple things. When I brought up bombers, because you said they carpet bombed, it's impossible to do carpet bombing unless you have a bomber. So I know you don't realize you did, but you did say bomber. Second, but my question to you is, if the destruction of Gaza, the buildings, infrastructure, etc., is somewhere, you said, let's go with 75%. I think that's a fair number. It might be a little higher, actually. But let's go with 75%. But if the death percentage, even when you include terrorists, by the way, is around 3%, can you explain to me, just mathematically and statistically, how the death percentage is significantly lower than the destruction? Because if Israel kept the people in those buildings and destroyed 75% of buildings, well, everyone would have died in those buildings unless you got very, very lucky. So why does the percentage not match the destruction that you find in Gaza? Now, I'll answer. I say it's because they got them out of the way before destroying those buildings, but you don't believe that because you believe it was indiscriminate bombing. Because remember, you said that.
I said this earlier, that they absolutely put pamphlets out, and they did try sometimes, but other times they'd put them out as they're dropping the bombs.
So why is it so much different? Why is it 3% to 75%?
Or they would tell them to go somewhere and then still bomb that area anyway.
Right, can you just answer my question? Why is the percentage of death, even if we believed Hamas, why is it so... If it was only like 5 to 10% lower, I wouldn't bring it up. It's pedantic. But I'm saying it is so much fucking lower. 3% to 80 or 70 to 80%, whatever the destruction
I'll answer that. It's because they haven't recovered all the bodies yet, man. Some people got completely vaporized.
10,000. Yeah, sure. The amount of missing bodies is at 10,000 right now. So even if we assumed every single person is dead and they're not just out of Gaza, then that still wouldn't help your case. Even if you triple the number of deaths right now, it still wouldn't help your case.
There's no way to know exactly how many people are dead because, again, a lot of the infrastructure was destroyed.
People
got buried under the rubble.
What do you think the highest death toll is? Just give me like what you think the highest possible maximum death toll is.
I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say it's going to be over 100,000 when this is all said and done. It's probably going to be somewhere in the 100 to 200,000 range. Again, they have not dug up all the bodies. The place is completely destroyed. They don't know where a lot of the people are. Some people got vaporized.
Let's go in and go vaporize this one.
So that's why.
Let's go with 200,000. Let's go with the very max. Even if the death toll was 200,000, just so you don't skate away from this answer, let's call it 200,000. It would still be less than 10% of the deaths. We're going to like 8 to 9%. So can you explain to me why the death toll percentage is, let's say 8%, 9%? Well, fuck it, let's call it 10%, just to really show you the point. Why is it so much different than the 80 to 90% destroyed or damaged buildings that are in Gaza? Why is the percentages not more closely aligned if they truly did indiscriminate bombing?
Okay, again, some people, because they knew from the beginning, we need to move south to Rafah. Some people stayed, some people didn't. Sometimes they bombed the camps, sometimes they didn't. We don't have all the people there. And then also, Nick, I find it interesting how you're sitting here trying to... I just answered it. I told you that
doesn't prove indiscriminate bombing.
Some of them would stay. Okay.
Yeah, but we're not off by like 5 or 10%, Myron. We're off by 80%.
Some of them,
how do you explain that 80%?
Again, some of them would move, some of them would not. Some
of them would go to hospitals,
80%. Some of them would go to other places.
That doesn't explain
and it would
80%.
Get destroyed. Bro, can I answer the question? Can you be quiet? Can you calm down for 2 seconds? I am answering the question for you. I'm telling you that they were moving south, a lot of them, and some didn't move. So yes, a bunch of the infrastructure was destroyed. I see what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, well, the destruction of the infrastructure does not line up with the deaths. What I'm telling you is that there's more deaths that are unaccounted for that we don't know about. That's
I just went with the max number, Myron.
I just said, even if we go, let's go with the max number. That's still too much, Nick. You guys are over here bitching over 1,200 people that died. But I find it funny how we're talking about 70,000 plus people dying and you guys don't care. Oh, well, give me the percentage.
I never bitched about 1,200. I never bitched about 1,200 being killed.
That is the whole basis of this. That is the whole basis of this conflict.
Yeah, again, but there's a difference between bitching and just adding context.
What are you talking about, dude?
Listen, I'll answer you right now. I've never, ever thought, I've been debating this way before October 7th. I've never thought that October 7th was the start. I don't know any Zionist that actually says that. I only know pro-Pallies that say Zionists say that, but I don't know any Zionist that says everything started on October 7th. Nobody actually says that. It's just a point you guys bring up to try to argue. But I don't believe it started on October 7th. I agree. It's just irrelevant. It's irrelevant to say, well, you guys think this. You guys don't. I don't care what other people told you. You're arguing against me. I don't really give a shit. But my point is that you said indiscriminate bombing. Now, again, if I was off by 5 or 10%, then I'd understand your example of, well, they dropped leaflets and some people left, some people didn't. Sure, but you're off by 80%. Some people leaving does not describe an 80% discrepancy.
Okay. What I am saying is we don't have all the bodies. We don't know where everyone is. You're saying 10,000.
Again, that is if you assume the max, Myron. You got to stop using that as an excuse. That's assuming we've recovered all bodies and it's 10% of the entire population.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. We haven't.
Right, but that was I'm saying my number is using the max death toll, not the current one. The max one where you said it was over 200,000.
Okay.
So you can't use that as an excuse because I've already accounted for that by using the max number.
Again, that number in of itself is too high. My argument is that the proportionality is absolutely ridiculous, and I find it interesting how we could sit here and crunch the numbers when Palestinians are dying, but we're not crunching the numbers when it comes to Israel. Israel has full reign to do whatever they want. My main argument on this topic is I find it interesting that Israel can wage a regional war over 1,200 people being killed, but now we're sitting here and microanalyzing the people that died in Gaza. We don't know, is it 70,000 or 100,000? Let's go to the best, say it's 200,000. Well, 80% of the infrastructure was gone. That doesn't match up with the people that were dead. That's not my point here. My point is too many people have died, okay, in this situation, and also it's a genocide, whether you want to accept it or not. It fits the definition, like I told you before. Different human rights organizations call it that. What NickMatau thinks really is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things because the entire international community, the experts, everyone says that it's a genocide, bro. You don't have to agree with it. You might not like facts. You like to argue with your feelings because you like Israel and you get paid by them, and that's totally fine. But my bottom line here is that the proportionality is off. We're microanalyzing the Palestinian numbers, but we're not microanalyzing the Israeli numbers to justify the slaughter of a bunch of people. And then as far as indiscriminate bombing,
because you're the one making the claim.
No, you're gonna get embarrassed, bro, because you don't know. You're fucking stupid. So let's talk about the indiscriminate bombing, right? So they're bombing hospitals, they're bombing civilian centers. They would tell people, hey, go to this place, and then they would bomb that place as well. I saw a bunch of kids literally lit on fire when they were going somewhere that they were being told that it's going to be safe. So you could say whatever you want to say and say that it's not indiscriminate bombing, but it is indiscriminate bombing because kids are getting blown up every single day. That is the definition of indiscriminate bombing when you're killing kids every day.
That's literally not the definition of indiscriminate bombing. If there was indiscriminate bombing, you'd actually just scientifically, statistically, you would see what is close to the representation of the population. So Gaza is made up of about 50% quote unquote kids, even though according to Islamic teaching, they really wouldn't be kids, but whatever. Let's just put Islam aside for a second. They're 50% kids. So if it was truly indiscriminate, especially the more bombs that you drop, ground operations, shelling, etc., that you do, you actually start to get closer to the representative population percentage. And so if it truly was indiscriminate, you would actually see closer to 50% of the kids being killed, or maybe even higher. But you don't see that. And on top of that, when you break down the statistics and you look at fighting age males, it's actually a significantly larger sway towards the male population than what you see.
How many kids died of the
70,000,
Nick? How many kids died of the 70,000? Oh, then how many kids died of the 70,000 that you're claiming?
According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, I believe they put it at 20,000, give or take. I can give you the exact number if you want me to look it up.
No, it's fine. You've been looking everything up the whole time. That's fine. But no, that's ridiculously high. That's my point. If you kill 20,000 kids, like, let's just use common sense here, Nick.
Well, okay, I don't actually believe that, and I can explain why, actually.
Okay, and we could agree to disagree. I think if you kill 20,000 kids,
I can actually prove it. There's a difference.
If you bomb and kill 20,000 kids, that is indiscriminate bombing. I think that's common sense.
Yeah. So does Hamas and PIJ, have they recruited anyone at the ages of 15 and over?
I'm sure they have.
Okay, cool. If a 15-year-old who is part of Hamas, and if he gets killed, does he get added to the child death toll list, or does he go on a separate death toll list?
Well, we don't know. We actually do know because
what's the number? Well, we do know because there is no separate death toll list. That was supposed to be a rhetorical question. I don't know why you answered that way. There is no separate death toll list. There's just the total. And so when you look at the 15 or actually even 13 and over, when you look at that, it's actually 63% skewed in the male population direction, which obviously if Hamas and PIJ is going to use soldiers that are under the age of 18, it would be a male. They're not grabbing girls, right?
No, they're not.
Right. And so either that's the biggest coincidence ever, or it shows that there's actually a heavy skew of quote unquote children killed that were part of not just Hamas, PFLP, DFLP, PIJ, whatever, PRC, Army of Israel.
Yeah, but the thing I find interesting here is that these 15-year-olds that you're talking about that are getting recruited by Hamas, and you're talking about underage people getting recruited, that's a minority, bro. That is a minority. That is not the majority. So the majority of kids.
I'm not making the argument that no kids have died that weren't innocent. I agree they have, but the point is that we're not even at the 50% now, even if we assumed 100% of them weren't with Hamas. So we're already showing that it's not indiscriminate, even if we take the numbers at face value without adding that context. I'm only going more against your direction by adding even those numbers, regardless if they're a minority or not. And on top of that, Eisenberg on X actually did, and you can double check his work. You can actually put in the information yourself. He took the April death toll list in 2024 and compared it with the June, and he found 60% 90+% of 18-year-olds became 17-year-olds, and 17 became 16, and so on and so on. So we actually don't even know, because if you're adding to the under 18 death toll list to bump up the numbers of children, Walidi, the head statistician of the Gaza Ministry of Health, he said in Sky News that they removed over 1,800 names. Many of them were actually women and children, because he found out that they weren't even dead at all. Some of them were from the 2014 war that were still being counted in today's war, and some of them were only being added to the list so they can get government funding.
Okay, Nick, let me be clear about this. I don't think you're tracking what I'm trying to argue here. I am arguing that if you kill 20,000 plus kids, and I think it's going to be more than that when this is all said and done, like I said before, that right there is the clearest proof that it's indiscriminate bombing. You don't have to agree. You don't agree with me on the genocide. You don't agree on the definition. That's fine. But I think most people with common sense would say, oh, wow, you killed 20,000 plus kids in the middle of a conflict. You probably did some indiscriminate bombing. And also, Gaza is extremely densely populated. It's almost impossible to not indiscriminately bomb with the amount of people that live there, how densely populated it is, how the streets are obviously packed and narrow, and it's a small strip of land with 2.2 million people. So I am going to have to disagree with you. You might not think it's indiscriminate bombing. I do, just based on the amount of children that were killed, the amount of people that live there, the amount of, excuse me, how
you're using emotions right now. This is
I'm not using emotions at all. I'm using common sense.
Because you're taking a lot of assumptions. Common sense. Right. I'll answer you why you're not. Because it's just science, it's just math, right? You're using emotion. That's not the definition of indiscriminate. Indiscriminate means literally without discrimination. So you would actually see, statistically, mathematically, you would see it closer to the representative population percentage. The fact that it's not even a little bit, but a lot under that representative percentage proves it's literally not indiscriminate. And that's not emotions. That's statistics, brother. Now, furthermore, when you look at
can I respond to that?
Go ahead.
Okay. If you are doing a targeted strike, right, you obviously have an intended target and you're trying to hit that person. But when you're dropping bombs everywhere in a densely populated location, because you're trying, you think a Hamas captain or something walked into a building and you know there's going to be 100 people in there, but you're totally okay with that ratio, you're not really discriminating. You're saying, you know what, we got to get that guy. We don't care what we got to do. It is what it is, and we're going to drop the bomb, and it is what it is. Now, I would say that is the definition of being indiscriminate. But look, you want to define it a different way. You want to look at it from a statistical perspective. I'm using it from a common sense perspective.
I agree with that.
If you bomb, because again, Gaza is one of the most densely populated places on earth with 2.2 million people. If you're going to bomb the place the way that the Israelis bombed the place for 3 years, there's no way that you can't indiscriminately bomb it.
Okay, so a couple things. You're actually proving my next point for me. I haven't gotten into it, but a couple things. When you say 1 to 100 ratio and you think that's okay, I was
using that as an example.
No, I understand, but I actually kind of agree with that. But that's the point, is Israel could easily do that in such a densely populated area, and they didn't. And I can prove it. If you go 4 months into the war, not even 1 year, not even half a year in, just 4 months into the war, Hamas actually came out, 4 to 6 months. Hamas came out and said that they lost 6,000 of their members. Now, that was a lot less than what even the IDF was saying that they killed or whatever, but let's use Hamas's numbers just to prove the point. They said that they lost 6,000 of their own members just 4 to 6 months into the war. If they did a 1 to 100, just even 4 to 6 months into the war, then Israel would have killed 600,000. And if you don't believe me, just do the math, 6,000 times 100. They would have killed 600,000 Palestinians in 4 to 6 months. So I agree with you. You're using as a little bit of a hyperbolic example, but it's nowhere near 1 to 100. It's not even close. In fact, they have, do you know how many airstrikes Israel has dropped since October 7th?
Probably hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah, definitely. Hundreds of thousands for sure. Yeah. I mean, according to Al Jazeera, it's like...
And that in itself, Nick, look, we're not going to agree on this. I can tell we're not going to agree on this.
Let me get to it. So let me get to it. So they have dropped, let's say even 200,000, just to keep it easy math, right? If they've dropped 200,000 airstrikes, we haven't even gotten into, ground operations and bullets. Let's throw all that aside for a second. 200,000. How many people would you say, and you can even be super conservative with your answer, how many people would you say, if it truly was indiscriminate bombing, as in Israel doesn't give a fuck if there's this person or that person there, how many people would one airstrike kill, conservatively?
Again, that matters on a multitude of factors. The leaflets get put out. Dude, they bombed so many different times. Every single bombing campaign is going to be completely different. You can't put an answer to that.
So you're saying sometimes they're indiscriminate and sometimes they're not?
Of course they're going to. If they have intel.
Let's say if they are being indiscriminate, again, you can be conservative. You don't have to, because honestly, a bomb could probably drop 100 people.
When they killed Abu Baida, right? When they killed Abu Baida, they knew he was there. So they were able to be a bit more accurate and go get him, even though they killed a lot of people in that process. So, I'm not
Can
saying
you
that
just
they're
answer conservatively? Go with your minimum number. So that way we know it is just like the bare minimum. How many people would be killed if they were truly indiscriminately or even kind of indiscriminately bombing?
on one bombing campaign of the 200,000?
Yeah, sure.
You can't estimate that because you don't know. Some bombing campaigns are successful, some aren't.
Right. That's why I said conservative, Myron.
I don't know,
the
dude.
average.
You can't answer that question. That's a
Is it
ridiculous
100?
question.
Is it 50 people? Is it 10 people?
That's a ridiculous question. You can't answer that.
If you're going to accuse Israel of indiscriminate bombing and then you come here and you say, well, I don't really know. Dude, you're the one making the case that they're indiscriminately bombing, as in they're bombing without two shits of who's there.
Yes, because they're bombing hospitals. They've killed a bunch of kids.
How many
that
people
is indiscriminate
would one
bombing. That's
bomb?
simple.
How many people would one bomb kill conservatively? Keyword conservatively, not even average, not maximum, conservatively.
Again, Nick.
Oh my God.
This
isn't like a brain teaser of a question, Myron. It's not hard.
What do you think then? You give me your answer. What do you think?
Well,
because you can't even answer this.
I think a bomb could kill like 100 fucking people, but if I said conservatively, I'd say 10.
But are they going to all be there at that time?
If you're
notify them with leaflets? Every bombing campaign is unique.
If you're indiscriminately bombing, yes, they would be there because indiscriminate means you don't give a shit. Actually,
okay, Nick, let's use a little bit of common sense here, bro.
I'm not gonna let you.
When I say indiscriminate bombing, right? Does that mean every single time they fired up one of these jets and went into Gaza and dropped bombs on there that it's indiscriminate? No, they're obviously going to have some operations where they have more intel than others where they can be accurate. Okay,
I agree with that. I agree with that, but I was talking about generally speaking.
You're misrepresenting my position on purpose to make it look like I have an all or nothing outlook on this. What I'm telling you is that there is indiscriminate bombing, but there's also discriminate bombing because if they have a target and they have intel, they will go ahead and try to be accurate.
Okay,
but in
so
some
what
cases,
would you say?
They don't know.
So we're getting more specific. No, we're getting more specifics from you. So what percentage would you say is indiscriminate? Again, I'm not asking for a perfect percentage.
You can't answer that.
Speaking.
I am not a member of the IDF.
How do you know it's bad? Then how do you know it's bad then if you can't even answer?
How do I know it's bad? Because what?
What if you don't know the answer, then how can you even use this in your argument against specifically genocide?
Hold on, wait.
Okay. Hold on, Joe,
Nick, are you serious? Okay. You're trying to bring two different arguments together.
So if I were to say 10 people would be killed with one airstrike, is that a fair number that's conservative?
Again, they had bombing campaigns, thousands, hundreds of thousands of them. I'm sure some of those bombing campaigns where we got intel on this guy, we have it with a high level degree of certainty that he is going to be at this location at this time. We're going to blow it up, and we're going to try to discriminate and be as accurate as we can.
That's obviously a minor amount of examples.
Sure, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that this is nuanced, bro, because there's going to be times where they're discriminate, and there's going to be times where they're indiscriminate. I never once said the bombing was only indiscriminate. Obviously, there are going to be bombing campaigns that are targeted.
You're dodging the question. I'm saying
I'm not dodging the question. I'm explaining to you.
How about this question?
Every single bombing campaign, not every single bombing campaign is going to be indiscriminate. And you mischaracterized my position on purpose.
I got that. But it's significant enough for you to bring up that they do indiscriminate bombing. If it was once in a blue moon, you wouldn't have brought it up. I think that's fair. So you are telling me that it is, listen, they've destroyed or damaged 70 to 90% of the buildings. So it's not like I'm bringing up something that's so rare that it's not worth looking into. I'm bringing up your argument that is significant enough to look into because as you agreed, somewhere between 70 to 90% of the buildings have been destroyed or damaged. So if it is indiscriminate bombing, hypothetically, if it is 10 people a fair number? I think that's low, but I want to be conservative here.
Again, you're not going to know that. Like, you're just not going to know that because they've done so many different bombing campaigns. Dude, we can sit here and speculate all day. This makes right. We don't know, dude. Like, we don't know.
How about this? I got a better idea. Let's just say 1, because that's the literal bare minimum. So
now, if you feel comfortable giving a number, go ahead. But what I am saying, and again,
I'm gonna say 1. Because that is the bare minimum. Because you're scared to answer, so we're gonna go with the
because I don't talk out my ass like you do, Nick. That's the difference, Nick.
Great, that's awesome.
You talk out your ass.
Perfect.
That's the difference. You've been calling several lies.
That's great. Yep.
You've been calling several lies during the course of this debate.
Great. Yep. All lies. Got it. Anyways, so we're gonna go with the bare. Okay, perfect. Great. Yes. Awesome. That's awesome. Stop interrupting. So we're gonna go with the bare minimum of just 1 fucking death, which already proves my point that it's not indiscriminate. He used an example of 100 deaths for one Hamas guy. Let's go with 1. If it was just 1, the airstrikes alone, before we even get into tank shelling, bullets, which has been over 1 million munitions used in that, grenades, snipers, none of that. Throw all of that away. The death toll is still about 1/3 of what the actual death toll would be if it was 1. And that's assuming there was only 200,000 airstrikes, because according to Al Jazeera, it's actually even more than that. I'm using a very conservative number. If every bomb only did an average of 1 person, and by the way, that's whether that person was Hamas or a civilian or a child, it still would be 3 times higher, more than 3 times higher than what the current death toll is right now, according to Hamas. And then add in everyone that's died via bullets, everyone that's died that was sniped, everyone that's died from grenades, from rapey dogs and fucking tanks and all this shit. So my question for you, how the fuck, even if we use a number of just 1 death per airstrike, is the numbers so much lower? And that's if we assume Hamas is correct. Even if we assumed your maximum number, which you said the maximum was about 200,000, you would also be wrong.
Okay. I'm going to give my position, because you've been mischaracterizing my position the entire time now, and it's actually very frustrating, because what you're doing is you're saying that I have this position on one side and I'm not having any type of nuance, and I'm completely on that side. I'm going to just say this, okay, because you've been doing this the entire debate and it's ridiculous. I am saying this. I'm saying the Israelis bombed Gaza, okay, where it was to a level of gross negligence, okay? You have a very tightly populated area with 2 million plus people there. By your own admission earlier in our discussion, we've come to the conclusion that they destroyed somewhere between 60 to 90% of the infrastructure, okay? They've destroyed almost every hospital. They've bombed all different types of civilian locations. They've bombed camps. They've told people in some places to go here, and then they bomb that place anyway. And it's just been killing all over the place. Now, my argument is simply this, because you keep mischaracterizing it and it's very annoying. There's no way that you can destroy 70 to 80% of a place's infrastructure, okay, and kill that many people and kill that many children unless you're bombing indiscriminately to some degree. Now, let me be clear, because this is where you keep fucking trying to switch it up. I am not saying in any way that there were not discriminate bombings where they had good intel and they were able to get a guy and try to minimize the casualties. What I'm saying is that there was discriminate bombings alongside indiscriminate bombings, and the destruction of Gaza with 70 to 90% of the infrastructure being gone, 20,000 kids being dead. That is all evidence to show that there was a significant amount of indiscriminate bombing. So
Myron,
Nick, stop mischaracterizing my fucking position. That's what I've been saying. And you've been trying to get that. You've been trying to say that I have one position that I don't, to try to make yourself sound a certain way.
I never said that.
You've mischaracterized my position several times during this debate.
All right.
Because you're trying to sit here and say, you're saying there's indiscriminate bombing, as if there's no discriminate bombing. No, I'm saying that there's indiscriminate bombing.
You don't have to repeat it.
I'm saying that there is indiscriminate bombing alongside discriminate bombing. We're not going to agree on this, and that's fine. You mischaracterized my position.
I
we
heard
can
you
move to the next topic.
I got it. We'll move to the next topic, but I just want to point a couple things out. One, I use the number 1 specifically because even if we go with the argument that, well, there's some discriminate too and not just indiscriminate, that's why I use the number 1. I don't know if you failed like math in school, but that's why I use the number 1.
Common sense. That's the
problem. That's why I use the number 1. You don't understand the argument. I got it. That's why I use the number 1.
The thing with you is you just have extreme on both sides.
Okay, why do you? I heard you. I got you. So anyways, I use the number 1 specifically to account for all the excuses that you can, well, sometimes it's discriminate, well, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. That's why I use the bare fucking minimum number, to show you that if it's anything higher than that number, it only further proves my point. So it doesn't really matter what excuses you're making now. It doesn't matter because I use the bare minimum number. Anyways, I never said you had one specific point. I don't particularly care what your points are. I was just debunking one thing that you said.
You don't care about the points.
I don't care about what your points are because it doesn't fucking matter, because I was debunking a very specific thing you said. If you want to deflect to other points, we can get to that later.
You were harping on indiscriminate bombing, and I'm saying that there's indiscriminate and discriminate. I'm saying there's both.
I know, Myron. I just answered this. That's why I use the number 1.
No, you fucking don't, because you've been arguing the whole time about indiscriminate bombing.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Anyways,
you're not as smart as you think you are, Nick. It's actually really embarrassing, because you don't have common sense.
Okay, perfect.
You think you're smart and you're not.
I got you. There's only one person crashing out right now. I got it. I'm not smart. I'm stupid. Okay. Wow.
You've been caught in several lies.
I got you. Okay.
You've been caught in several lies during the course of this debate.
You just keep speaking. I got it. I'm really getting into under your fucking skin. I got it.
No, you've been interrupting me. Go ahead.
Holy shit. Yeah, because I'm still trying to get my point out. It was my turn to speak.
Go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anyways, so yeah, you said you're talking about densely populated areas, and I agree. Gaza is one of the most densely populated areas in the world, and definitely in the region. My question to you is, how many military bases did Hamas have on October 6, 2023?
The underground ones?
No. Military bases. Underground's just used for like transportation, hiding, ambushes. I'm talking about their bases where they would, generally a militia group, military group. They isolate themselves so they can launch rockets and missiles or whatever else they have, drones, etc. How many did they have prior to October 7th?
They fire them from everywhere. I mean, you go ahead.
Agreed. Perfect. You're right. They had 0. So my next question, and you just answered it, is where do they do their operations out of? The answer is, because we both agree it's a densely populated area, the answer is civilian areas. Next question. Is there any area that Hamas didn't have control of in Gaza prior to October 7th?
You're asking me that?
Well, I'm not asking Joe.
Well, okay. Yeah, obviously they oversee Gaza. Okay. Yes.
Okay, and then we know they have uniforms. We know that they don't generally wear uniforms when they fight. My question for you is, if they do have uniforms, we see them all the time, like during the propaganda stages that they were doing with the hostages and stuff. Why is it that they choose to not wear these uniforms when they fight? What's the purpose of that? Like, why? What advantage does that serve?
Nick, we all know the answer to that. Like, what's your point, bro? We all know the answer to that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So yes, let me say it then. We all know the answer, because the advantage it serves is that it blends in with society, which would be literally the definition of using human shields. Now, if you use human shields in a densely populated area, we all know that in war, civilians die. We all know that it's even higher in densely populated areas. And we all know it's even higher when you're in a densely populated area fighting a guerrilla warfare unit like Hamas. So how do we know that this is the intent to commit genocide? And how do you know it's just not death because of the fact that a guerrilla warfare unit is using human shields in a densely populated area, and an area where we as the world don't allow them to become refugees, like what they did with Ukraine or Syria or Iraq or Afghanistan or anywhere else, actually, for that matter?
Okay, are we going back to, are we done with discriminate and you're going back to genocide now? Is that what we're doing? Just so I make sure I clarify.
I didn't necessarily bring up genocide. I'm just talking about in general, but yeah.
You did mention the word genocide, so I'm trying to figure out, do you want to?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're done with indiscriminate bombing.
Okay, so fair. And again, me and you don't have to agree. You have your position. You think that it's discriminate for the most part. I'm saying it's both. We can agree to disagree on that. Now, when it comes to, I understand dude, I don't give a shit about Hamas. Let me be extremely clear about this. I'm not a Hamas apologist. I understand that obviously it's a war and they're shooting rockets out of civilian places. I'm not disputing that. I know that they do that, and this is done in warfare in general. What I am saying is that they're blowing up places because they think that they have Hamas guys there, because they rely upon their intel, they rely upon Lavender to do their ratios, everything else like that. So what ends up happening is a lot of innocent people get killed in the process, but I'm not refuting any of that stuff. I never made any claims about Hamas not using, not blending in with the people, not fighting in their uniform. Yes, I mean, I never made an argument about that. So I'm trying to understand why you're bringing that up. What does that have to do with the discussion at all?
I didn't say you didn't make that argument, but the difference is when you take in that context and then you look at the general numbers of airstrikes that they've done. Again, we don't have the exact numbers, but we have a general idea, even if we assume Al Jazeera is correct. When you look into military operations and you add all of this together, it doesn't show genocide, which would be the intent to destroy a protected people. It shows
in whole or in part, Nick. You missed out a big part. In whole or in part. You guys always leave that part out.
Listen, I was paraphrasing. Yes, I know it. First off, I don't think that in whole or in part means what you think it means. If you read the commentary of what in part means, it does not just mean in general, like, oh yeah, you kill part of, or you destroy part of the population. That's not what it means. But the point I'm making, right, is that it shows that it's not genocide because it doesn't have that special intent, dolus specialis, which again is not something I'm just bringing up to obfuscate. It is literally required with genocide. It doesn't show that. It actually shows the context of, yes, there are, this is general warfare in a densely populated area against a guerrilla warfare unit that literally, I'm glad you already admitted, a lot of people try to fight tooth and nail for it, of a group that uses their own people as human shields. And so if the numbers and the math and statistics and just common sense add up in the direction of the point that I'm making and not with the point you're making. Now, has there ever been war crimes ever? Yeah, I think every single country in the world I can say is not perfect. I was in the U.S. military for 12 years. I would never, ever accuse the U.S. military of just being bad people. But have we done bad things? Of course we have. Of course. Okay, and so Israel is not against that either.
What's your, I'm just trying to understand, like, what the argument is here that you're trying to make. I'm just trying to,
that it's not a
you
genocide.
said we moved on from indiscrimination. Go ahead.
That it's not a genocide because based off of the things that you even yourself admitted to and using the math that I used in my last point, when you show it, it actually just shows general warfare against the guerrilla warfare unit and not genocide.
Okay. Again, I don't think me and you are going to agree on this. We already discussed this earlier.
Well, obviously.
We're just not going to agree on this. Because,
but what does it have to do with debate? That's the point of debate. We're never going to...
No, and that's fine. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give my position. You can give yours, and that's it. Very simple. We know the definition of genocide. The killing of people in whole or in part killing them in whole or in part, right? We know that. That's the definition. You can sit here and make the argument, well, they didn't kill enough of them. Oh, the percentage. What was the percentage of the people dead? Blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't have to actually be successful to still be
No, I'm not arguing
genocide.
Percentage. Percentage has nothing to do with genocide.
Well, it was brought up several times during this discussion before you came in, before it was the percentage and stuff like that. So I want to make sure, and I want to make sure that I answer that. Okay. Now, with that said, I don't think me and you are going to see eye to eye on this whole genocide thing.
Just want to point out, you missed a key word. You missed a key word in the definition. You missed a key word.
Nick, you got to
let me. It's intent.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that Israel didn't have the intent of killing the people?
Killing anyone, literally? No. The intent to destroy.
Okay.
See, it's funny how you said I was missing a key part, and then you missed actually the real key part. It's the intent, the special intent, actually, dolus specialis,
all right,
to destroy a protected people of that protected status in whole or in part.
So let me get this straight, Nick, and this is why you're wrong once again. So let me get this straight. Not giving them food, not giving them resources, doing a blockade, not letting aid trucks come in.
How many tons of food did they give them, or aid in general? How many tons of aid did they let into the Gaza Strip?
There was a starvation crisis for several months. What are you talking about, dude? Yes, did trucks get in? Absolutely. But there were periods where there was a blockade where they couldn't get the trucks in and the people were starving.
Yeah, so no. So a couple things. One,
so that is also a component to genocide.
Yeah, so if you were correct, that is true, but that's not what happened. There was pockets of starvation that did happen in Gaza, but you're saying it's because Israel had a systematic targeting of it. No. In fact, the BBC, who is not exactly pro-Israel, even they did an article about this woman talking about this in Gaza. She was a mother of, I believe, 3 or 4 children. I can look it up if you want me to, but whatever. She's a mother of 3 or 4 children, and she lost her husband like 5 years ago due to cancer. And she talked about how in her neighborhood, her and her children were starving, not because of Israel, but because of Hamas, because her neighbors had plenty of food because they were affiliated with Hamas, and Hamas would steal food and give it to them. And the UN themselves came out and even admitted that about, I think it was 80%, give or take, of their trucks were actually being looted. Now, sometimes, to be fair to the argument, sometimes that was because Hamas, but sometimes it was just because other people who had nothing to do with terrorism.
I was going to say there were other bandit crews.
Right? But here's the problem. This is why it still causes starvation in other areas, not because of a systematic targeting by Israel, but because of how just wars and red zones work. When somebody, let's say a truck goes into the Kerem Shalom crossing and it has to go over to Jabalia, but it gets looted, let's say only a mile in. If it gets looted, when they were going to go to Jabalia to restore the stocks there, now that food that was meant to store that there, resupply the stocks, now never makes it there. So what ends up happening is that specific neighborhood ends up going through, until they can get some supplies in there, a starvation period. But that's not because of Israel. In fact, Israel even offered to offer security to the United Nations. The United Nations said, no, we don't want help. And so they were even called out by reporters, like, if there truly is a starvation, like you guys say, why would you say no to help? The GHF, when there was over, I think it was like 400 trucks of aid that were just sitting, waiting, the GHF offered their services to distribute that food for free, and the UN said, no, we don't want to work with you. So sure, was there pockets of starvation that happened, just like in every other crisis zone, including war zones? I agree with that. But you're saying it's being used as genocide.
It was a component of the genocide. Starving, bombing, not getting them supplies, not getting them equipment and for surgeries or for medical care. How many doctors testify? See, and this is the thing too, because you're talking about genocide as far as like, oh, it's not a genocide or whatever, because did they use multiple methodologies of like killing these people? Okay, let's go through it. They didn't give them medical supplies when doctors were there. They testified they testified under oath about this, by the way, saying, hold on. I'm sorry about that. It's a TikTok thing. Doctors testified and said, hey, when I was in Gaza, I didn't have access to clean supplies. I didn't have access to sterile equipment. I could barely do surgeries or actually get what I needed to get done. Several doctors from the West complained about this while they were there. There was just a doctor that was on Tucker Carlson the other day talking about how they didn't have any supplies to get anything done. So Israel was keeping medical supplies from getting in. They were keeping food from getting in, water from getting in, humanitarian aid from getting in. Now, I see what you're saying. Oh, well, you know, they had it, but it might not get distributed, because I saw a lot of people, propagandists, go to Israel and be like, look at all the food that's out here. Well, it wasn't getting distributed. Having the food in of itself is not enough if it's not getting distributed. And Israel had a blockade. Here's another piece of evidence to tell you about the blockade. A big reason why the UK and France both decided to recognize Palestine was to put pressure on Netanyahu to let the food get in. Okay, it got so bad that they literally said, yo, the blockade has to end. We have to get the aid in there. We have to give them the food. This is creating a humanitarian crisis, etc. Now, I think you're saying that, oh, there was just some pockets of starvation. I think you're underselling that, right? At least I appreciate the fact that you admit that starvation was absolutely a part of this. but I think it was a bit more egregious than you're letting on, and that's fine. We don't have to agree on this stuff, Nick. That's fine.
Yeah,
We
but
can let the people
okay,
decide. But there was
difference.
absolutely starvation, and aid wasn't getting it, and people were
Okay,
dying
but
because of this.
the difference is first off, that was after the aid got in. It's not because the aid got in. But regardless, the difference is I have the statistics and I read the entire IPC report. It's like 85 to, I think it was 88 pages specifically. I read the entire thing. I know you definitely did not. So when you say, oh, I think you're underselling it, I'm going off of the statistics of people who are from anti-Israel sources. The IPC pulled their numbers from MFM, Al Jazeera, and also UNRWA. They're not exactly pro-Israel sources, and I'm using their numbers. And so they don't even agree with the shit you're saying right now. And on top of that, with distribution, I already answered that. The GHF offered to distribute. In fact, I just looked it up. It's actually 950 trucks. I said 400. It was 950 trucks that were waiting. That's not because of Israel. They offered to provide security. The GHS offered to distribute the food. The UN said no. So even if I agreed with you that this starvation was proof of genocide, or at least an aspect of genocide, then fine. Yeah, fine. Then blame the United Nations. Then that has nothing to do with Israel. But hold on. On top of that, when you actually looked at these pockets of starvation, right? Again, it was attributed to warfare and also the 80. Again, I'm not talking about 5% of trucks were looted or 10%. We're going with 80+%. Most of them by far were looted. You cannot blame that on Israel, especially when Israel said, we will provide extra security, and the UN says, fuck off, no. You cannot put that on Israel. Whether you like them or hate them, I don't give a shit. That's not their fault. But on top of that, when you look at the IPC report, it took them to the very end of the war to label a level 5, which is famine/starvation, in only one governorate of the Gaza Strip, which there's 5 of them. And that was Gaza City, which, by the way, was a red zone from the very beginning. They weren't even supposed to be in that area, but about 500,000 of them stayed regardless, even though Israel told them to go to the Al-Mawasi zone. But that's not the point. The point is it took them to the very end of the war to even label just one specific area level 5. And on top of that, the only way they were able to do that is they brought their 30% requirement down to 15%. And then they still didn't meet the 15% requirement. So what did they do? They took a partial data report from UNRWA, Al Jazeera, and MFM, and they ignored the one that was a full data report because it didn't meet the 15% threshold. And so they took a partial one that wasn't even complete just so they can barely call it level 5, which again, wouldn't be attributed to Israel anyways.
Okay. So again, so what is the argument? Because I think we both agree that there was starvation. You're saying it was small pockets. I think it was a bit more than that.
I think there's starvation in the United States of America. In fact, if you actually look at the numbers before, the final numbers that were coming out of Gaza, if you looked at the last round of data, it was actually per capita would have been about 2 to 3 times higher in United States of America than Gaza. But that's not really the point.
Yeah.
The point is that the point is that there's a difference between me saying, yes, just like there's starvation everywhere, especially in humanitarian crisis zones like warfare, especially warfare that the entire Arab world closed their doors on them and said, fuck you, stay in there. We're not going to allow you to come out, right? Yes, I agree. Of course there's starvation. I told you. There was a lady in Gaza that said Hamas was the reason for the starvation, and she even gave examples. This is examples in Gaza of how it is. I told you about the UN loop.
There were also Israeli blockades, not letting aid get in.
Only for 2 months, and that's allowed per article.
Only for 2 months. Only for 2 months.
I can answer that actually. So that's per article. I believe it's 58. I can look up the exact article.
Once again, underselling, like, dude, 2 months.
I'm going to explain. So according to the World Food Program, this is the United Nations, 94,000 tons of food. 94,000 tons equals 2 months of food in Gaza, because it says it's 4 months for 1 million people, but Gaza's 2 million people. So 2 months of food. According to even the United Nations, the amount of food that went in during, do you remember that 2-month ceasefire prior to them stopping the food for 2 months? During that ceasefire.
Which
I
one?
think it was January to March, yeah.
Yeah, when Trump came in.
And then they stopped the food for about 2 months. I don't know if it was quite 2 months, but it was about 2 months. During those 2 months alone, during the ceasefire, this is assuming, by the way, that they never stockpiled any food. Let's assume they had nothing. They didn't have a fucking top ramen at the start of that ceasefire. They gathered 380,000 tons of food for the Gaza Strip. Now, you can just do the math, but 380,000 divided by 94,000 is 4, and then 4 times 2 months is 8 months. And you can look this up if you want. I walked away from my computer because you hated that I was looking it up. But if you don't believe me, I'll pull up all the statistics from the UN right now and show you. But it was 380,000 tons in those 2 months during the ceasefire. That is equal to 8 months of food when they started that blockade. Dude, do you understand how much food they would have to eat to get through 8 months of food in just 2 months? They would have to eat an extreme amount.
You're going over the details. Great. What I'm arguing, because we were talking about genocide here. Remember, that's how this all started. Okay.
Well, I was talking about your last claim about
I know,
2 month blockade.
But it was all, yes, but this was all, this entire thing started with the genocide thing. I'm saying not letting in humanitarian aid. bombing hospitals, not letting doctors get what they need when it comes to having sterile equipment, not having water, not having access to resources, not having food. I mean, I kind of find it crazy how you just said, oh yeah, dude, it was only 2 months that food didn't get in and we had a blockade. That's kind of nuts. Again, I think we both agreed that there was starvation. I think it might have been a little bit more egregious. You think it wasn't as crazy. That's fine. We can agree. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when it comes to the genocide, starvation was absolutely a part of it, alongside the bombing, alongside them not having adequate access to healthcare with the doctors. You got literally like a million doctors, not a million, but several doctors from Western countries went to volunteer and talked about the horrors that they saw when they couldn't even do surgeries or have any type of sterile equipment. And the big part of that was because Israel wasn't letting these things get in. So we could agree to disagree on that. We covered discriminate bombing. We covered genocide. We can go ahead and go into why the United States should not be supporting them if you want to go into that topic, because that's really the main reason I even came in here into this thing, because I don't care about Israel that much. My biggest issue is I don't think we should be supporting them. I don't think we should be giving them money.
No, wait. Stop.
It's fine. Joe, we can get into America.
Hold on.
We'll get into it. I have argued using statistics, UN data. In fact, I've never even used any Israeli data. Everything I brought up was UN, Al Jazeera, UNRWA, IPC report. So sure, we can move on because at this point, I have used statistics and data. So at this point, we'll let the audience decide. As for America supporting Israel, well, it depends on what you mean. You're talking about the 3.8 billion, because I'm actually against that as a Zionist.
But that's not even, that's a drop in the bucket. I'm not going to be one of these retards that says we give them foreign aid. Like, that's not even important. That's not a thing. That's insignificant. I'm not going to make that argument.
So you're going to have to tell me what you mean by, like, what do you mean then? You said the amount of money we give them.
Yeah. So, okay. So we went over genocide. Is there, before we get into this, because this, did you want to do anything else with discriminate or genocide before we get into this?
I think I've made my point very clear.
All right. So when it comes to United States, I just think we should not be supporting them. I mean, obviously, military aid is a component of that, right? The 3.8 billion, and we gave them even more. I think we've given them up to this point since the beginning of the war. I think we gave 12 billion last year or this year. Biden gave them a bunch of money. We'll probably spend about maybe 20 billion on this conflict for Israel. I just don't think that we should support them and kind of just let them do what they do in the Middle East and deal with their own problems. I don't think we should be involved whatsoever.
So do you agree that America should stop telling Israel to stop this and stop that and let them do what they need to do?
Yeah, let them fight, and then their enemies are going to destroy them. Yeah, sure. Let them do what they want to do, because they're clearly not going to listen, and then let their enemies destroy them.
Okay, but do you have a problem that Israel has allies? Should it be like their enemies? Let's start with Gaza. Hamas and the PIJ are proxies of the IRGC, so they have allies too. So what's the problem with? Is it your problem that they have allies? Or are you saying they should just fight with no allies on either side, or that they get to have allies but Israel doesn't get to have allies?
Well, the reason why they have those allies in the first place is to combat Israeli aggression. Okay, whether it's keep in mind, the Israelis have a nuclear bombs, which are illegal, by the way, that they have. They stole them from us. There's a reason why they have an undeclared nuclear program. Okay, they stole the uranium from us. That's how they're able to get their nuclear program up and running. This has been widely put out there. This is a big reason why JFK had an issue with the Israelis. They were running a nuclear program under his nose when they weren't supposed to. This is what created so many of the issues, and it was a component.
JFK was one of the most Zionist presidents. He's the first one to do actual major weapons deals with Israel in history.
Okay, but he was going to pull that all back because him and Ben Gurion were having letter wars before he died in 1963. So he had a big problem.
Joe, stop. Joe.
Why does this guy keep interjecting? Like, what's going on here? Like, Joe, just accept the fact that no one wants to hear you talk, bro. Me and Nick are talking, bro.
Okay.
Hold on, wait. Stop. We're gonna stop it.
We're
gonna stop it right there. Myron, first of all, you're on my live. You said something dumb. I was going to correct it, but you know what? I'm not going to. I'm gonna let Nick school you. But don't run your mouth. Nobody cares that you exist, Amru. So shut the fuck up.
Anyways, listen. Let's bring it back. Okay.
Like, this dude comes in here and just mutes me.
Okay, but yeah, if you say something, he's gonna say something back. Let's just.
He's talking shit to me.
Yeah, I got it, but you guys are adults.
Bro, sensitive.
Get back. Oh my Jesus. Anyways, let's get back to what we were talking about. So yeah, you don't believe America should help Israel at all, and so you want essentially Iran to just go in and wipe them out.
I don't care if they do. And quite frankly, it's not our business. I think we've meddled in the Middle East way too much, and we got to stop bailing Israel out of their problems.
Well, the reason we do, in fact, I actually have a different position on this. I think it's funny how everyone thinks like Israel, and I don't know if you do or not. I've never heard you say, but I find it funny when people think like Israel controls America. I actually think the reason this MOU, or not, sorry, not this current MOU, I'm talking about the MOU with Israel. I think the reason that's a thing is because America wouldn't let Israel out of it. We forced them not to build certain munitions. They were about to build one of, at the time, one of the lobby systems, one of the greatest fighter jets, especially for the size of the country Israel is. It was going to be one of the best things. We put a stop to that. We put a stop to them building a lot of different munitions, and we forced them to buy from us, and we also forced them not to buy from certain people we don't want them to buy from. Which, by the way, as an American first person, I'm okay with. I'm totally fine. If it benefits us, we should help whoever. If it benefits us, if it doesn't, we should get the fuck out. That includes Israel. But I just find it funny when a lot of people pretend like, oh yeah, it's Israel that actually is controlling it and wants this. No, it's actually America. In fact, Yasser Arafat, the founder of the PLO, Israel was actually about to assassinate him. You know who put a stop to that? America. And it's not just Israel, by the way. Fucking Saudi Arabia with Yemen. Biden and Obama put a stop to them when they were about to complete their conflict. You know why? Because we give more weaponry to Saudi Arabia than every country in the world, including Israel.
Look, I'm not arguing that because Bill Clinton, yes, he actually saved, I think it's Kamal Rajad from the Jamal Hamad, whatever the fuck his name. One of the guys from one of the heads of Hamas that they were going to kill in Qatar last year. I can't remember his name. But yes, Bill Clinton got in the middle of that, stopped the crisis that was going to happen there when Mossad just tried to poison him back in the 90s. Yes, I understand that the United States has intervened to I guess not deal with the diplomatic crisis of people being assassinated.
That's not my argument. Because America wants to continue actually conflict in the Middle East because we sell a lot of our weapons to these countries. And I know that's not a popular position, but I think it's true. And so America has stopped Israel a lot of times that could have actually put a stop to where we wouldn't even be talking about October 7th today. And even in Rafah, look at what they did. That's where they found Sinwar. That's where an American was assassinated in there. And it was Biden that put a stop to Israel. So I kind of agree with you, but that needs to go both ways. Let Israel do what they need to do.
Okay, and my position is we just don't help them. I'm not disputing the fact that we've gone in and we've been able to get our way and avoid crises and real Israel in. Now I wouldn't say that Israel controls America. If I'm going to be very precise in my position on this, I think more than what it is they have an enormous amount of influence in our foreign policy. And I think a lot of the times that influence doesn't necessarily always put the United States first and can put us in a compromising situation, i.e. what we have going on right now, where Trump is trying to strike this MOU and get the markets back on track. And Israel is still fighting a war in Lebanon because they haven't made it that far since 2006 into Lebanon. And they don't want to lose the castle and lose. They don't want to give up the Litani River. I get it. But this is what I'm trying to say is that Israel has this expansionist mindset where we're going to expand by any means necessary because we need to secure our borders. We need a security buffer zone. All the stuff that they typically say to exclude themselves.
Do you know why the Litani? Do you know why it's the Litani River?
Because southern Lebanon, there's a lot of Hezbollah there. I understand that they have weapon caches there. I'm talking about
legally, like the United Nations. There was a resolution in 2006. They've had 20 years, and when I say they, I mean UNIFIL and the Lebanese government. They've had 20 years to rid both Hezbollah and the IDF. Nobody's allowed to be militarized in that zone. So when you say Israel just has this expansionist mindset, dude, they should have waited 6 months before they said, fuck you, we're going in there and doing your job for you. They waited 20 years. There's been over 100,000 people still to this day, well, some of them went back, that were displaced since October 8th, 2023. So like, when you say this expansionist mindset, dude, they're doing the job that was supposed to be done 20 years ago.
I am very aware of the fact that 60,000 people out of northern Israel had to evacuate after October 7th because rockets were flying into Israel from southern Lebanon. I'm very aware of that.
Not just the rockets. I'm talking about the security resolution in 2006.
Yes,
this isn't but you're putting the blame on Israel. There's context here that you're leaving out.
Go ahead. Here's the thing. Me and you agreed. Let them do what they want to do. I agree with that. Let them do what they want to do. But what I'm saying is that the reason why they're able to do the things that they do is because they know they have an insurance policy with it. Hold on. Okay. The reason why they do the things that they do is because they know they have an insurance policy with the United States where we're going to back them no matter what happens. We're going to give them cover. We're going to give them military aid. We're going to support them. If we need to rush, a bunch of military foreign aid, we'll do it like Trump did when he came into office. I think he gave him like $12 billion, 12 million or whatever. So my thing is we need to completely stop working with them. And the other thing I would say, and this is my political proposition, if I had some power here, I would say the Israelis need to figure out, if you want to continue to get US aid, you need to figure out either a one-state solution or a two-state solution, because the Palestine question is the main problem here as to why we have all these issues and why these Arab countries and these Muslim countries are not recognizing Israel is because of the Palestine question. So once they can go ahead and figure that out, right, then we can maybe have some diplomacy with them. But my argument is, until they're going to fix that problem, I don't want. We shouldn't be supporting them whatsoever. It's just endless wars. Netanyahu wants to keep himself out of jail. We saw what Ben Gvir said the other day. This is a radical government that I just don't want to support. We shouldn't be. Our tax dollars shouldn't be paying for anything over there.
I just want to point out, you kind of sound like a Zionist. No, not even just stop working with America. I just meant like one state solution, or maybe even two. Like, you sound like a Zionist, actually, but I'm not going to deflect.
That's not a Zionist talking point. They would never do a one state solution. No, they would no.
I'm pro one state solution. I am a Zionist. I'm probably the biggest Zionist.
No, I understand that, but most Zionists will never take that position because they want it to stay a Jewish majority state, and they know that if they were to do a one state solution, the Palestinians.
You know what? There's ways to that, but that's a totally different subject, so we're going to put it away for now.
Yeah.
But again,
I'm saying one of the solutions needs to come into play.
I got it. So a couple of things. First off, everything you said about Israel doing it because they know they have the backing of America, that's literally the exact same thing as Hezbollah. They also do it because they know they have the backing. Well, they are Iran. And so I find it interesting that everyone talks about Israel, quote unquote.
Iran is not comparable to the United States, bro. Come on, man. Come on. Dude.
Sure, but that's
crazy.
My point is that I find it interesting that everyone talks about the occupation of Lebanon by Israel and no one talks about the occupation of Lebanon by Iran. And furthermore, on top of that, if Israel really truly were only doing that because they know they have the backing, wouldn't really make a lot of sense what they're doing right now, because the Trump administration is literally saying you need to pull out of this, and Israel's like, look, we're not going to agree on this, and we're going to continue until we make sure that all of our citizens get to go back to northern Israel. But regardless, with Israel and like the Palestine question, Israel's the only one that has been actively going out of their way throughout all of history to answer that exact question. It's always been the Arabs that have put a hindrance on that Palestine question, as you put it.
Okay, so that's a whole other debate getting into that, because we would have to and we can set that up for the next one. But what I will say, because I've debated that topic as well, who's the bigger barrier to peace, the Palestinians or the Israelis. But my thing on this, man, is I just don't think we should be giving them aid. Let them do what they want. But the issue is that if they were to do the reason why Israel behaves the way that they do and why they don't actually exercise any level of diplomacy or having peace with their neighbors is simply because they don't have to. They're a nuclear armed state. They have a very sophisticated and good intelligence service. They have informants everywhere. Obviously, they got the Shin Bet as well, which is good internal security, their FBI equivalent. Like, they don't have to negotiate or have any type of diplomacy.
They've done diplomacy with every single one of their surrounding states. They did it with Egypt. Egypt was the first Arab country to recognize them. They did it with Jordan. One of the biggest deals.
Well, in the Shah era, but I digress. Yeah.
Okay, the Shah had nothing to do with that, though. But they did it with Jordan. Jordan and Israel actually have one of the biggest deals in like Middle Eastern history with water and electricity going back and forth. And then they've done it.
And they almost lost it
Syria.
when they tried to kill Khalid Mashal.
They did it with Syria, right? Well, that's a separate person. I don't know if that has to do with Jordan. Wait, what? What does that have to do with Jordan?
They tried to assassinate him in Jordan, and the king said if the Mossad...
Mashal? No, they didn't.
Yes, the Mossad tried to kill him in Jordan. Back in the 90s. It's a whole other conversation.
Oh, you're talking about, I thought you were talking about the most recent. Okay, whatever. So anyways,
go ahead.
So they did it with Syria, and they just recently did it with Lebanon. Remember, when we say Lebanon, we got to be very clear, and I'm sure you know this, Hezbollah is not Lebanon. So they just did it with Lebanon. So what do you mean they're not doing diplomacy with their surrounding nations? They've done diplomacy literally with every single surrounding nation.
Okay. When I say diplomacy, I mean as in they're not being recognized because they have not answered the Palestine question and dealt with it. And what Netanyahu has tried to do is he's always been trying to skirt dealing with the Palestine question. You can look at like the Oslo Accords, which I would say was probably the first framework that was actually going to build something. And, obviously Yitzhak Rabin got assassinated right after signing it. You can have your speculation. Some people say Ben Gvir, Netanyahu was involved, whatever. And then Netanyahu has been caught on tape in the West Bank saying, I've been sabotaging the Oslo Accords. We're never going to have a two-state solution.
The Oslo Accords are awful, but why are you going to ignore what happened at Camp David? Not 78 Camp David, the 2001.
Well, that never really got to go all the way. Yasser Arafat was being stubborn. I'm trying to remember.
Yasser Arafat specifically said at the Johannesburg address to the Muslims in Arabic, remember the Hudaybiyah Treaty. He even said separately that I could never have accepted that because I would be killed if I did. And he told them to remember the Hudaybiyah Treaty, and we will wait until we're strong enough till we can take all of it. So when you say he was being a little stubborn, do you mean, and I quote from Bill Clinton, he was there for 14 days and said no to everything? He didn't offer back a counter negotiation or say, hey, I don't really like this section or this section.
Well, Nick,
he immediately, one more sentence. He immediately, just months later, launched a fucking intifada, which is a slew of terrorist attacks aimed at mostly civilian areas. That's how he responded to Camp David.
Okay. That was in 01, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, it was from
Or
really
2000?
end of 2000 all the way to 2005, 2005.
Yeah. So again, this is because the Oslo Accords kind of died alongside Yitzhak Rabin. So that kind of put everything in a bad spot. So that you can have your position on that, or what you think, hey, this deal was better, he should have taken it, whatever it may be. I would say the Oslo Accords was a genuine attempt, right, to get things going. Obviously, it was supposed to continue talks, dividing up the ABC area of the West Bank, obviously recognizing the PLO, recognizing Israel. It was a framework that I thought could have been successful, but obviously I think it died with Yitzhak Rabin because the party was not happy about it.
It's still in tendency today. But
I know. But
do you know when Rabin died?
95, I think. I think they started the deal in 93 and he died in 95.
Right. So if it died, then why did the Hebron Agreement of 97 go through? Which, by the way, was Benjamin Netanyahu, the guy that you said was sabotaging it. He's the one that did the Hebron Agreement, which is probably the most controversial, other than Jerusalem. That's probably the most controversial part. And he did the Hebron Agreement, and that was in 1997. And then why did Camp David happen, which was 5 years after Rabin died?
Again, they can go ahead and enter into agreements all the time. What the Israelis do is they'll oh yeah, we have a framework. Okay, we got a framework. And then what they'll do is they'll just take more land, and then they'll revisit and they'll say, oh, well, the facts on the ground have changed. This has been a very common strategy.
But they didn't do that. At Camp David, they offered just about the entire Judea Samaria area, almost the entire thing. And then in the realignment plan in 2008, they offered that. And on top of that, they offered about 8%, give or take, of Israeli proper land to give to the Palestinians, and a connection between Gaza and Judea Samaria, the West Bank. So not only are you wrong, but they actually did the opposite.
Okay. Again, when it comes to the Oslo Accords, that was a framework that they both agreed on that would have been probably the framework to build upon. These other frameworks that came in, okay, it was basically negotiating like, oh yeah, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. But Netanyahu never really actually wants any of these treaties to go through. He doesn't really care about a two-state. He doesn't care about two-state, one state. They definitely don't want a one-state because obviously the population.
I agree with that, but you keep saying,
and he's been the longest running prime minister, so he can say whatever he wants.
But
we all know Netanyahu doesn't really care about having any type of peace. He claims it all the time.
But I agree with Netanyahu. I think the Oslo Accords are awful, but that's not the point. The point is you keep saying all these other frameworks. No, those were under the framework of the Oslo Accords. And on top of that, do you know
if the facts on the ground had significantly changed?
Do you know who's the first one to pull out of the Oslo Accords?
Well, they didn't pull out. Yitzhak Rabin died. I mean,
no, they did pull out. Hamas pulled out after they did their coup in 2006.
Dude, Hamas, this was a deal, but Hamas isn't. Hamas was not involved in this. This was literally the PLO. This was Yasser Arafat.
So you're incorrect. I'm gonna no, it's not. I will tell you right, dude. I'll tell you right now why it's wrong. So the PLC was created under the Oslo Accords. The first election in 2006 of the PLC, Hamas won 58% of the seats of the PLC in the West Bank. That's the majority of the seats they won. So they absolutely were part of it. Now, what happened was...
Oh, you're talking about when they ran. Okay.
Correct, but not just that. Okay. A lot of people don't understand that the Oslo Accords, because everyone thinks it's a West Bank thing. It's not. It was actually for both Judea Samaria, the West Bank, and Gaza. The reason people don't talk about it today is because when Hamas killed and slaughtered dozens of Palestinians and kicked out Fatah out of Gaza, they pulled out of the Oslo Accords, which, by the way, is the reason Egypt, before even Israel did, Egypt closed their border completely with Gaza. And then they, over time, have built pretty much 7 layers of border security because of Hamas pulling out of the internationally recognized Oslo Accords. Israel didn't do it until like 2 years later, actually.
When it comes to that, man, like I said before, the reason why they pulled out is because the Israelis were not honoring their side. They were still expanding when they weren't supposed to. The West Bank right now, I think, is sitting at like 700,000 plus settlers. They've been expanding the whole time, dude. They've been expanding the whole time. The settlements are illegal. The international community knows that it's illegal. And like I told you before, the strategy with the Israelis is simply this. They feign diplomacy. Then what they'll do is they'll continue to expand. Then when they revisit negotiations, oh, sorry, bro, facts have changed on the ground. We might have to do this. And Netanyahu's been doing this for a very long time. I get what you're saying. Oh, he had this agreement, It's never an actual good faith. But let me go back here to the main point. This is exactly why. This is exactly why
it's illegal. But go ahead.
This is exactly why I think we just need to pull out of here. This is why I don't want to deal with Israel, bro. Like, this is a fucking nightmare. And I think if we were to not deal with them anymore, okay, or we could be maybe a moderator in some peace talks, but we would make those peace talks, aid to Israel and support of Israel, us giving aid and supporting them and giving them all the cover that we give them, that's contingent upon them actually having a real solution to the problem, because they've been feigning diplomacy for decades, and they feign diplomacy because they don't have to actually negotiate in good faith. They can say, we'll do this for you guys, but it's all a lie, man. So I get it. We can have a discussion on all the different agreements, but what I'm arguing is, because we're talking about America here, not necessarily so much about the split with the land. My focus is We shouldn't be supporting them. Let Iran destroy them. I don't care, because if they were to actually get in a full-on conflict with Iran, they'd probably get destroyed. And quite frankly, Israel being present in the area is a reason for so many of the hostilities in the region. Them being there has created the majority of the issues.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
my
Muslims.
argument.
No, it's Muslims and Islamists pulling into their jihadist ideology that has created most of the issues, for sure. But regardless,
Fair, can you give me your, okay, so you think Muslims are more to blame for the instability in the Middle East than the Jews?
Islamist regimes, absolutely. Like, look at the UAE. The UAE doesn't cause problems. They're Muslims, but they're not Islamists.
Yeah, I was going to say that's it's interesting because the Gulf states, you know, they're fine, they're civilized, and then you're saying it's the Muslim world.
Don't get too crazy. I wouldn't particularly say they're civilized, but sure.
I mean, the UAE is safer than the United States, cleaner than the United States. Saudi Arabia is very safe.
You can be safer.
So,
you can be safer. That's not the same thing as civilized. They also listen. I have no issues. I have no issues particularly with the UAE, but we're looking at the Gulf states. When you are bringing people in that make up the majority of your land, and then you steal their passports from them to force them to do labor without ever giving them the same exact equal rights or citizenship,
yeah, that's
sure,
ridiculous.
you can say that's civilized. And is it safer? Yeah, it's safer, but I would say that that's pretty immoral. But we're not here to talk about those other countries. I'm just pointing out I wouldn't necessarily call them.
You can make the argument that it's worse in Israel, where you have a bunch of these people that have no rights at all, the Palestinians. And you can make the same argument. So
yeah, they're not in that land. They're over a border. And on top of that, they're not citizens. They're not being brought in saying you're going to come here, live on specifically Israel proper, but we're going to force you to stay in certain areas and we're never going to. These aren't citizens. Now, if Israel was bringing them in, making them citizens, then sure, that'd be a different story. But this is a change of topic. Let's go back to the America thing. Would you hypothetically...
My position is, to reaffirm it, no support to them.
Gotcha. If hypothetically, I want to see this America First position. Hypothetically, if the argument was that at least maybe not the partnership even as it exists today, but a partnership with Israel in the correct way provides benefits to the United States, not just economically or even technologically, but in many different aspects of life. If it was beneficial for America, would you still not want to have a partnership with them?
No, and I'll tell you why. We have that one bill that's in right now with the sharing of technology. The Israelis are some of the worst counter-intel operatives against the United States. They've been stealing technology from us for a while. They're obviously very high in the totem pole when it comes to counterintelligence. And the fact that, you know, and here's the thing, I'm going to give them credit. I'm not a hater. Like, the Israelis have a fantastic intelligence program and they're very good with technology. And, you know, they literally push the envelope when it comes to a lot of this stuff, because obviously they're in a very difficult, volatile region. But with that said, they're also notorious for stealing technology, notorious for spying on us, notorious for conducting all types of...
We spy on them all the time. We spy on them all the time. We spy on them all the time. Look at Operation Anarchist. You know what that is?
Wait, okay, but here's the difference. We are the ones that support them. They buy our weapons. We protect them. They are beholden to us. So when they spy on us, it's not the same whatsoever. We are big brother. They are little brother. So for them to do the stuff that they do,
I don't want them necessarily spying on us. I don't even think we should be spying on them. Well, actually,
and this bill that we have, well, you're Israel first, so that's, of course, you're not going to, you know, it is what it is. But
okay,
yeah,
you're just saying that to go back to ad hominems. I'm not Israel first.
Okay. If you're America First, you would understand that these guys are a huge threat and we shouldn't be working with them at all.
Well, yeah, but my question to you was, if you wanted to shift the partnership, first off, we don't actually know what you're saying is even particularly true. A lot of this comes from, like, I can't remember that fucking guy's name that works for Russian propagandists and even admitted that he's a Russian propagandist who used to work with the CIA and then he went to...
John, Nick, I answered you do this all the time.
Right, but
I answered your question. I said no aid, and then you asked me, well, what if you would have a limited partnership with them in some scales? And I said no.
No. I'm not talking about aid or partnership. I'm talking. Never mind. That's not what I'm bringing up. But regardless, I'm not here to die on the hill about like aid or not. I think if it's benefit, and this goes for any ally, this isn't Israel only. If it gives us benefit, then absolutely we should do that. If it doesn't, then including Israel, as much as I support Israel, of course we should pull out of them. But the problem is that my idea comes from Operation SIG, which I don't know if you know what that is, but that's still very much being played into today with Russia and China. And so that influence that we have, and this is actually the reason, if any American leader or administration was honest, they would actually admit to this. We are not the ones letting Israel go and controlling them because of that influence block that we're trying to do. We use them as that shield against the spread of Chinese and Russian influence. And if you don't believe me, look at Yon Pacepa, who was the biggest defector out of the Soviets, who literally admitted to all of this, that they wanted to attack America, and they did it by first attacking through Israel. And it's still to this very day. They were funding universities. Does that sound familiar? Qatar does that. $700 million, I think, last year, $250 million on average for the past 20 years.
Qatar has no motion in the United States, bro. That's a ridiculous argument. Like, let's be honest here, man. The Ivy Leagues are
universities?
The heads of all the majority of the Ivy Leagues are all Jews, dude. Like,
great. So you're saying our universities, there's no motion from Qatar into our university system at all? Not even a little bit?
I am not saying that they don't donate money, and I'm not saying that they're not trying to influence. What I am saying is that their ability to influence pales in comparison when compared to the Israelis. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, sure. So let's look into that. So I didn't even get into like their gifts or even lobbying into our government. That was just universities alone, like $700 million. How much do you think Israel is putting monetary wise into the United States? And can you back that up with statistics?
Well,
like AIPAC, for example, AIPAC, which technically is American, but let's throw it in. Let's just say they're secretly all Israeli.
No, I'm not even gonna. I don't even make that argument when it comes to the whole AIPAC thing and money this and money that. It goes way beyond the money. It's the things that are intangible that are the things that are the most concerning. Like I said before, the unequivocal support, basically us being their insurance policy, the money and everything else like this, like the 3.8 billion. I said this earlier too. Like, you know, I'm not going to make that like low IQ argument like, oh, well, they get 4 billion. That's irrelevant. The real value comes from their ability to influence us and have some degree over our foreign policy. That's where the real power comes from.
Then how come, if they were able to influence us so much, and how come every time there actually is a disagreement, not just a shared value, whether you agree with that shared value as Myron Gaines specifically, I'm talking about as an overall aspect, how come every time there isn't an agreement that the America always, and by the way, I agree it should, because we are Big Daddy, it absolutely should win out every time. But regardless, if what you're saying is true, how come they're never able to influence when we don't agree? It always, every single time in history, America has won that argument. Again, as they should.
Like, are you saying like if they have so much influence, why are they?
They've never been able to influence something that the American, at least leader at the time or whatever, the government at the time already agreed with. So that's just shared values. But if they were able to influence, they would be able to influence things when it's not a shared value. Like, for example, assassinating Yasser Arafat. America put a stop to it. The lobby system, America put a stop to it. Rafah, America put a stop to it. Iran right now, America put a stop to it. Like, okay, what I'm trying to say is if they were able to influence, then how come they don't influence them when it actually has a difference of opinion and not just shared values?
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought that up. That's why specifically when I said before, they have a significant degree in the influence. Does that mean they have 100%, oh, everything Israel says goes? No, of course not. There's going to be times where Israel's going to have to back down, or we might be able to.
But it's 100% every single time in America's direction.
No, it's not. I mean, look at what's going on literally right now as we speak. This MOU is being held up right now by Netanyahu refusing to pull out of Lebanon and stop the war. So that's an example right now.
That is not why. Can you tell, do you think that Israel started attacking Lebanon first? They're responding. Are you saying that Israel shouldn't respond? Is that your argument, that they should just take literally daily levels of rockets and missiles? There was a UN member that was killed by a mortar because of Hezbollah just a couple weeks ago. Are you saying that Israel should just take all that and say, I don't care,
Nick, let's go. Nick, why did Hezbollah attack Israel then?
What date are you referring to?
Because I'm assuming you're meaning in the most recent time, right? I'm assuming you're meaning from
late I'm talking about since the MOU and the negotiation talks.
So what initiated this ground assault that we're currently in the middle of, that Israel refused to pull out of?
What initiated Israel going in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you, because of the 2006 security resolution not being fulfilled for the past 20 years. So Israel's going in. And by the way, they're working with Lebanon, the actual Lebanon government.
You're going way back. The real reason is because...
No, I'm talking about now.
Okay. Yeah, okay. When I said what led them to go into this last campaign, I'm not talking about 2006 or whatever. I'm talking about this last campaign recently where they went into Lebanon in March. It was because Israel and the United States bombed Iran and killed the supreme leader. And Hezbollah said, and it's crazy because Hezbollah and Iran and all these different countries warned the United States, and they also warned Israel that if you attack Iran, we are going to activate the proxies, and Hezbollah is going to join in and everything else like this if you kill Ali Khamenei. And what did they do? They killed him on day one, and they pretty much went to war after that. So,
and what business of that is a totally foreign, separate country?
They started a war, dude. That's what I'm trying to explain.
So what? What business of that?
Oh, now it's so what when you start a war?
No. I'm saying what business of Hezbollah? Now, I know why. It's because Hezbollah is not really Lebanon, it's Iran. But by your logic, what business is that of theirs? So fucking what? How is that an answer?
Okay. We were talking about not supporting Israel, right?
Can you answer that question? What business is of that? Because you said that's the reason Hezbollah started launching. What business is that of theirs?
We started a war, dude. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
What business is that of Hezbollah, who is in a totally different country? What business is that of theirs?
They killed Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, and started a war, and they warned the United States and Israel that if you kill the supreme leader, we will get activated. Now, let me
hold on, Joe.
That's what they said.
What you're okay? Got it. No, hold on. I got it. So what you're saying is, Mr. America First, that America or Israel or anyone for that matter, we need to capitulate because they decide to put their proxies in multiple different areas, and if that area gets attacked and they get to activate all these stuff and we better capitulate. And if we don't, then Myron is going to say you're trying to ruin the deal. Is that the argument?
No, my argument is this. The MOU, let me work this backwards because I don't think you guys understand where I'm going with this. The MOU, all right, hold on. Okay, let's work this backwards, okay? Because I don't think you're tracking what I'm trying to put down here. The MOU, okay? Right now, it is not being fulfilled because one of the points, okay, is that there needs to be a ceasefire in Lebanon. They need to stop the war in Lebanon.
But why? Why? What? Why is it?
Can I finish, bro? Can I finish?
Because okay, sure, but just all right. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me finish. So right now, because you made the argument before that, oh, well, the United States is still able to reel in Israel, and when we tell them not to do stuff, they listen to us. And I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm not one of these weirdos that's going to say, Israel controls us. No, what I'm arguing is very specific. Israel has a certain degree of influence in our foreign policy, and a lot of times that influence puts us in a precarious situation where we're not benefiting from what we're doing. And then Exhibit A, right now what we have going on with Hezbollah and Lebanon and Iran. The MOU is contingent upon the war ending in Lebanon. Now, you made the argument, well, why did that war start? That war started because we bombed and killed Ali Khamenei on February 28th, and we got into a quagmire conflict that we had no business being in the first place. This war,
why?
Let me finish. This war serves zero strategic benefit for the United States. We got involved, to answer your question, we got involved because the Israelis were going to attack no matter what. So we got dragged into the war, and this was admitted by Marco Rubio. So
no, it wasn't. But regardless, why? So you're just ignoring that Marco Rubio said specifically that's not at all what he meant. But regardless,
dude, he said that on day one after day 2 of the war.
He said, okay, I'll tell you. He said we attacked because Israel was going to attack first. Israel moved their attack, and you can look this up. Israel moved their attack up. They were supposed to attack at night. They moved it up because of the meeting, which we know to be true because, like you said, they actually did take out Khamenei and others. But because they moved their attack up, that's what Marco Rubio was saying. And the very next day, he literally says that when the reporter said, hey, can you be more specific? Like, what did you mean by that? And he explains all this. But regardless, that's a deflection. Real quick.
No, it's not at all.
Hold on. Let me just ask this. Why is it that Lebanon is so important for Iran to add to the ceasefire deal? It's a foreign country. Why is it that they get to say that we're not going to make a deal until you add this into it as well? Why?
It's a two-pronged reason. It's strategic from the Iranians' perspective. Number one, it puts the United States and Israel at odds, which is, a strategy to divide and conquer. That's number one. Okay. And then number two, Hezbollah is their strongest proxy, right? They're the only ones. Well, not the only, but they have the most. They have the most, experience on ground fighting with the Israelis and the IDF. So they're the most competent.
That was pretty honest.
They have the most experience.
So you agree? It's not because of like human rights stuff or blah blah blah. It's because of the strategy of it.
Well, yeah, from a strategic perspective, and then obviously, you add in the religious aspect of the occupation of the Palestinians, et cetera. That obviously is going to play a role too. But I'm keeping it.
Okay. Well,
I'm keeping it geopolitical. I'm leaving the religion out.
Well, to answer that second point, if it was about the occupation, then how come they didn't fight to add Gaza into the ceasefire? Then why didn't they say Israel needs to withdraw from the yellow line, or we're not going to do this MOU? Why didn't they? Add that?
Gaza was in the drafts. They were put in and then they were taken out again. So they were.
Why didn't they fight for it? My question's still the same. Why didn't they fight for that?
Well, again, that's what negotiating is. Negotiating is you can't get everything that you want. You have to negotiate and concede on some things, and that's what they ended up happening. And if you're going to pick Hamas,
I just find it interesting that you brought in the Palestinians, but they didn't fight for Gaza, but they fought for Lebanon. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But I liked your first answer because it's probably the most honest answer I've ever given. You are not denying that Hezbollah is straight up just a proxy. You're not denying that they're.
I never denied that.
No, I agree. I'm saying you didn't deny that. So it's because Iran is effectively occupying Lebanon via a proxy, and on top of that, they see it as putting them at odds with America. Do you think America should capitulate to bad faith actors in negotiations? Especially
I think
when we're Big Daddy?
See, here's the thing. I don't think we should be getting involved in foreign wars that serve zero strategic benefit to us because the war in Iran has been a complete disaster.
Right.
It was.
But we are there now. So can you answer in contemporary times? We're there now.
Okay, so you're saying we should capitulate? I'm saying we should.
No, I'm saying we shouldn't.
No, I'm saying we shouldn't even have gotten involved. That's not capitulating.
Sure, but great, but we're there now. I'm saying, do you think that America should capitulate that? Because you said they're only, or not only, one of the biggest reasons you gave was they're doing it to put odds between Israel and America, and it's strategic, and also Hezbollah is their strongest proxy. Do you think America should capitulate that? And do you think America should, especially being Big Daddy, get at bare minimum, fuck Israel's goals? I don't give a shit, okay? I don't care if Israel has extra goals. I understand that America has different goals. Hold on one sec. I understand that America and Israel are not, they're going to have goals that align, of course, but there's going to be some that don't align. At bare minimum, do you think we should not be capitulating at bare minimum the 4 goals that we set out to achieve, including their destruction of their ballistic missile program?
Okay, we didn't achieve any of those goals.
No, we achieved some. I'm saying, do you
No,
think
we
at
didn't.
minimum?
There you go, lying again. No, we didn't.
Okay, so according to Trump, again, you can say he's lying.
According
Maybe
to
he
Trump?
is. Dude, you just have to let me finish. Just
Go ahead.
relax. What I'm saying is taking the MOU at face value. You're correct. I'm not a fan of the MOU, and I'm not saying that we definitely are going to accomplish any of the 4 goals. What I'm saying is taking it at face value. Remember I told you, let's stop talking about would have, should have. I said, let's look at contemporary times. Right now, according to Trump and JD Vance and Marco Rubio, we are going to accomplish the goal of eliminating their nuclear program. Now, if you're saying that's not true, you might be right about that, but I'm not here to talk about that. So when you say I'm lying, I'm literally fucking correct.
No, because you said, oh, you said they had 4 goals, and I said we accomplished none of them, and you said yes we did, and I'm like, no we didn't. You're lying, and I'll tell you what those goals
because
were.
You cut me off. I said that the nuclear program, the goal of the nuclear program, according to Trump, the way the MOU and the 60-day negotiations are going to land is that we will have accomplished that goal. Now, if you're saying you can read the future and you know it's a lie, that's a different story. But you cannot argue that that is not what Trump and JD Vance have said.
All right, you're wrong once again. So the goal before the war started was 0 enrichment. No ballistic missiles severely neutered to 300 to 400 kilometers roughly, and they wanted and they wanted no funding of the proxies. Those were the 3.
That's not true. That's wrong.
Okay, see now, like I said before, bro, like you just fucking lying once again. Before the conflict happened, Israel and the United States, literally the 3 biggest things they cared about: no more funding of the proxies, no enrichment, okay, and then they wanted the ballistic missile program to be heavily neutered so that they would not be a threat to Israel, because they were terrified because of the failure from the 12-day war last year when Iran was bombing Israel, and they realized, oh wow, like these guys can actually hit us with rockets. So those were the 3 things that they wanted gone: no proxies, no enrichment whatsoever.
Myron, did I not say fuck Israel's goal? No, because you're calling me a liar and you're bringing up what Israel wanted. Did I not? Did you hear me say fuck Israel's goals?
You said we achieved the strategies, and I said we didn't. Both the Israelis and the United States were basically negotiating together, okay?
I'm talking about the official goals of war. Here's the whitehouse.gov. Says right here, it was obliterate Iran's ballistic missile arsenal and production capability. That is not going to be solved because Trump just came out and said it's okay that they can have some now. So that's a flake. We didn't get that. Annihilate its navy. Probably. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how you take the word annihilate. They might have some. No, I don't really care, dude.
The Navy and the Air Force are not real strategic goals.
Great, dude. I don't care. Okay.
When was that posted? March
it doesn't matter because I'm telling you this is what is on the government official website right now. Sever its support.
When did they post it, Nick? When did they post it?
April.
Oh, when we were already losing the war. Interesting, huh? Interesting how the goals changed.
No, but you're not understanding my point. The reason I'm not lying is because I'm saying that you're correct, that we are capitulating and changing the goals, and we are not going to. Dude, I feel like you're not listening to me.
No, I am listening. I am listening.
Okay, just let me repeat what I said like 10 minutes ago. I am agreeing that we're not accomplishing these goals. That was the whole fucking point I was saying. And I asked you, do you think America should capitulate unless we accomplish, again, fuck Israel's goals, just at minimum what we said we were set out to do? Not the drafts, not the oh, we were negotiating kind of with Israel. No, I'm talking about the official goals of war. So you keep saying that, oh, we didn't accomplish it, Nick, you're lying. I fucking agree with you. That's the whole point I'm making, is that we didn't accomplish it. Is that not clear? Like, do you not understand what I'm saying, dude?
Anyway,
Myron, my point is that you keep saying I'm lying when you're actually repeating what I'm saying. That's the point I'm making.
You didn't. You said we achieved our strategic goal, but I said we didn't.
Correct. I'm saying from the very, very beginning. Anyone can rewind. I'm sure someone's recording this, right? Anyone could have heard me say, do you think America should capitulate unless we accomplish? And I said, fuck Israel's goals, just at minimum what we said we were going to do. That's what I said from the very beginning. So now that you understand, I'm asking you again, do you think America should capitulate? Regardless if you wanted the war in the first place or not, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if I did or not. It's there. Do you think we should capitulate as Big Daddy, the strongest military in the world, the strongest country in the world? Do you think we should capitulate without at least getting the bare minimum?
Like I said before, they didn't get the goals. They're not going to get the goals. They wanted zero enrichment. They wanted the ballistic missiles neutered, and they wanted no more funding of the proxies. They didn't accomplish any of those. Then in the middle of the war, that's when they kind of said, well, or before the war, but then they also put it out on the internet that you're reading right now. Oh, we also want to destroy their Navy and their Air Force. Well, guess what? Their Navy and their Air Force are weak. It's inconsequential. They just needed to put something there that looks like they got some type of victory. But the reality is no one cares about Iran's Navy or their Air Force. That was just a cope to make it look like they're winning something. That's number one. Number two, you asked about capitulating. Here's the thing. We are in a very difficult position diplomatically. We don't have any of the cards, which is why.
Stop. I'm gonna fix this right now. at the time.
Okay.
What the fuck? Can I finish?
No,
What? Can I finish my?
Because what you just said was a complete and total lie.
Okay, but Joe,
No, wait, stop.
I don't know if he's gonna come back or not, but here is from February 28th, right? This was actually just to show people because he didn't like that I used something from April, excuse me. Here it is: destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons.